Welcome back to another episode of Game Decon. In this episode, we're continuing coverage of our analysis of the video game Fallout New Vegas as created by Obsidian Entertainment and Bethesda Softworks. In this video, our courier will enter New Vegas for the first time and encounter the many factions of Freeside and the Strip. If this is your first video with Game Decon, my channel analyzes the characters and narratives of video games. For those new viewers joining in, I'll have the link to the first video of this series linked in the description. There will be spoilers for Fallout New Vegas ahead. Returning to the wasteland, my courier, Gabe, stands outside the north gate to Freeside. Entering beyond, we see a number of people standing about while a scream pierces the night air. Near the entrance, a man named Gennaro is selling what he considers food. Also, sorry if I butchered your name.
Need some grub? I got you covered. Cheap and filling. Typically, I find it goes down better if I leave people guessing. So what do you say? Want some? I have my little helpers out and about, always looking for fresh things to add to the stew pot. You may have seen them around somewhere yourself. Now deny your hunger no longer. You'll be back.
Hello. We're gonna have rat tonight.
I guess what the food is really isn't a big mystery. Stepping past a boy working as a crier for a local shop, we find a long street paving the way to the New Vegas Strip. On the left-hand side, a well-lit building with flashing lights in the shape of a guitar displays the name The Kings. The sign below that says Open Enrollment, and lights above the window spell out School of Impersonation. If the silhouette in neon lights wasn't a dead giveaway, it appears Elvis Presley was once part of the old world in the Fallout universe. Judging from the few men with greased back hair standing about in leather jackets and jeans, this building has become the headquarters for a faction who have modeled themselves after Elvis's unique style. Not far down the boulevard, Gabe assists in a firefight with one of these Elvis impersonators, helping to dispatch two Freeside thugs looking to make trouble. Not far away, a man in a suit fires a pistol at two more thugs, and again Gabe helps to slay them before the suit approaches him.
You look new to Freeside, so here's a little advice, friend. Don't go past the Southgate greeter without talking to it first. The name's Old Ben. I've been living in Freeside since the day I was born. Those bots are programmed to vaporize anyone who enters the fenced-in area without authorization from the greeter. I've done a bit of everything around here. Courier, butcher, crier, escort, gun for hire. Some of which I'm not proud of, but I do my best to help around town when needed. Exactly one of the reasons I got out of that job. Too many shifty characters looking to have someone else move their hot items. My father ran a butcher shop here in town. But business went downhill when another vendor started selling this strange meat at half our prices. You're telling me, not long after my father's shop went under and he passed away from the loss, people around town started experiencing shakes. No one gets shakes like that unless they're eating human flesh. But no one would believe me. This sick bastard gradually went insane and passed away. Wasn't long before someone moved into the guy's place and found half-buried human remains in the crawl space. I didn't bother saying told you so. After a while, I made enough money to get a passport into Vegas. Back then, you could get approved for entry for a fraction of what it costs now. Well, I got a job working as a crier outside of the Tops, advertising for the local talent performing at the casino. That didn't last long. Well, being a suave young guy, I chatted up the ladies from time to time, and one of the manager's girls started to take a liking to me. I never touched the woman, but the jealous prick decided it was my time to go. He framed me by saying I'd stolen from the casino. Sure enough, a few grand was missing from the casino vault. I have to assume the bastard stole the funds and figured I was a convenient fall guy. Yeah, but what can you do? I was stripped of my casino apartment and all of my belongings and booted back into Freeside. From there, I didn't have a lot of career options, as my rep was destroyed. So the escort job sort of fell into my lap. No pun intended. Well, I suppose you could look at it that way, but I was packing a whole different kind of heat. No, escort just sounds better than man whore. Yep. I was damn good at my job, too. But after a while, I just felt like a piece of meat and had to quit. When I quit the escort job, I had enough money to buy a pistol belt and some other gear. Bodyguards make a good, honest living, and I had the wits and physical build to handle most thugs. After saving a few tourists from trouble, I got a reputation for being a stand-up guy again, and after a decade, managed to save up enough to retire.
After his conversation with Old Ben, Gabe watches as a Freeside resident attempts to break through into the strip. He's quickly cut down by Securitrons before one of the robots approaches Gabe. It tells him to submit to a credit check or present a passport. Thankfully, Gabe has well enough caps to enter the strip, and the robot allows him to move along. Stepping past the gate, Gabe is immediately approached by the ever-recurring Victor. The robot says he's a personal greeter for the courier before stating that Mr. House himself wants to meet Gabe. Victor directs Gabe to enter the Lucky 38, the tall tower on the strip shaped like a roulette spinner. If Gabe asks why Victor is passing on the invitation, the robot implies that Securitrons should be thankful toward Mr. House for their creation. He tells Gabe not to waste any time and head to the meeting. Looking around the strip, Gabe sees a multitude of flashing lights and stumbling visitors, inebriated from their debauchery in the reborn city of sin. An NCR soldier vomits against a sign while a Securitron stands stoically near the gate through which Gabe entered. An MP berates the soldier before a man approaches the courier.
Already?
Hey there, friend. A bit of advice. You look like you could use some protection. Lucky for you, I got what you need. My stock and trade? All kinds of easy-to-hide weapons for slipping into and out of casinos. They won't give you a second glance. Things guards can't spot when they're patting you down or checking for iron at your hip. Simple. You can't bring guns into the casino, that's why. They'll strip you to your fists. Sure, they say you get it all back when you leave. Me? I don't like being without a little insurance when it's my caps on the table. Suit yourself. It's not my fault if they find your body dumped in Freeside.
Stepping past some sex workers outside the Gomorrah casino, Gabe approaches the spire that is the Lucky 38.
I swear, the monorail is just ahead. I can't feel my legs.
Well, howdy, partner. Good to see you again. Boss is waiting for you upstairs, so get a move on. I see you brought some friends. Sorry, partner, but they're gonna have to stay outside. Come back soon now.
The courier enters where the game began, in the dim, lifeless casino floor of the Lucky 38. Gabe approaches Victor and asks to head to the penthouse floor. After riding the elevator to the top, Gabe steps out and meets another Securitron named Jane.
Well, hello, Sugar. Mr. House is waiting for you in his office. I'm Jane, one of Mr. House's girls. We keep him entertained. We don't get many guests lately. Perhaps we can entertain you as well. Oh, there's lots of things to tell, I'm sure. There's the 3 families, the casinos, the other attractions. What would you like to know? They're just new money, Sugar. They might pretend they're sophisticated, but between you and me, they're not far off from tribals. Emeritus especially are just awful brutes. The chairman and the White Glove Society at least pretend to have some culture. Well, of course, there used to be a lot more of them, but these days, there are 3 open to the public. The Tops, the Ultra Lukes, and Gomorrah. And the Lucky 38, of course. But we're not open to the public. You're a special case, Sugar. Well, let's see. The NCR has an embassy here, but why you'd want to go talk to a bunch of boring old politicians, I surely don't know. Oh, And the Vault 21 Hotel and Gift Shop has an adorable collection of old Vault-Tec memorabilia. And I suppose if you like neon signs, you might check out Michelangelo's sign shop. Anything you like, Sugar? Why, Sugar? He's the maximum utmost. If it weren't for Mr. House, we wouldn't have this fabulous wonderland of New Vegas, would we? Sugar, I may be a robot on the outside, but on the inside, my neurocomputational matrix is an exact copy of Mr. House's favorite girl. Mr. House has a lot of needs, Sugar. I take care of all of them, and a lady doesn't kiss and tell. Then maybe you shouldn't pry into a lady's particulars, hmm? Well, of course I am, silly. Mr. House is just the smartest, most wonderful man there ever was. Why, did you know he single-handedly reclaimed New Vegas from all those nasty tribes that used to live here? Well, he single-handedly sent in his Securitrons to do it, but that counts in my book. Anything you like, Sugar? This is the Lucky 38 Resort and Casino, or it used to be. Mr. House has kept the place locked up tight for ages now. Nobody comes in or out. Why, I'm a Robco PDQ 88B Mark I Securitron, you silly goose. We're the finest in personal civil robotic security on the market. Not many people know this, but Mr. House is one of the world's biggest collectors of antique snow globes. If you happen to find any out in the wasteland, you can bring them to me, and I'll add them to his collection. You'll get a reward, of course. In fact, one of Mr. House's favorites went missing when we moved the collection. If you have a look around the Lucky 38, you might even find it. You do? Why, that's just wonderful. I'll take it and put it with the rest of the collection.
After speaking with the creepy sex robot, Gabe walks further into the penthouse. A large computer terminal rests against the eastern wall, where the image of a mustached, suited man waits.
This meeting has been a long time coming, hasn't it? You've come a long ways, literally, and, I suspect, figuratively as well. I have to ask, now that you've reached your destination, what do you make of what you see? You aren't going to ramble on about the virtues of life out in the wastes, are you? It's a desert, you do realize. A radioactive desert where humans subsist in a barbaric state. Difficult to glorify convincingly. They are, however, aptly named. For that's what you'd be out there, wasted. Here on the Strip, your talents can be put to use. Oh, don't be coy. You've been playing a high-stakes game ever since Victor dug you out of the ground. Don't be afraid to admit it. The business is this. One of my employees has stolen an item of extraordinary value from me, and I want it recovered. Simple enough. My only concern is the recovery of the platinum chip. What happens to Benny, I leave to your discretion. When you bring the chip to me, I will pay you 4 times the delivery bonus stipulated in your contract. How's that? What did you wish to know? It won't be easy. Benny is always surrounded by at least 4 bodyguards, except when he's in his private suite on the 13th floor of the Tops. It's more complicated than that. The chairmen share what you might call a tribal affinity. Look for a man named Swank, Benny's second-in-command. He's always been a reliable, if unimaginative, employee. Do your best to convince him that you're working under my auspices. If you have evidence of Benny's crimes, show it to him. By contract, Securitrons are to enter the casinos only when invited by the three families, or if other extraordinary circumstances arise. The moment I send one into the tops, Benny will know I'm on to him. If you were to approach Benny in public, you might be able to leverage his fear of exposure to make him agree to meet with you in private. Sneaking into Benny's suite on the 13th floor would be very difficult, but not impossible. There might be guards. Certainly there'd be a sturdy lock on his front door. What else did you want to know? Benny has led the chairman ever since I recruited his tribe 7 years ago. Until his recent misbehavior, I'd planned to make him my protege. Maybe if I'd begun grooming him sooner, none of this would have happened. To achieve my aims, I require a capable human agent to perform certain tasks. I knew Benny was ambitious, even ruthless, but I believed he would do the job so long as he was incentivized appropriately. Obviously, I miscalculated his drive for supremacy, but in any case, you've come along. A more than suitable replacement. I have to think that he found out about the platinum chip and mistakenly convinced himself that he could use it to his own ends. One of the problems of a tribal workforce, I'm afraid. No intuitive understanding of how complex technologies can be. Why didn't Victor intervene sooner, you mean? Good Springs is a bit too far away for me to reliably control a Securitron agent by remote. I can send and receive packets of data at best. Victor's combat algorithms determined the proper course of action. Benny and his thugs were more than a match for a lone Securitron. When he alerted me, I instructed him to approach the site after Benny and the others had departed. What else did you want to know? It's a very special item. There's nothing else like it in the entire world. It was lost a long time and difficult to find. That's all you need to know about it for this stage of our enterprise. Fulfill your contract, deliver the chip, and good things will come your way. You might keep an eye out for any computers that Benny's been using. Maybe even a computer lab of some sort. You realize you were just one of many couriers. The rest of them, dummies, so to speak. Add to that many thousands of caps worth of mercenary protection to screen your avenue of approach. Had I used an armed caravan to transport the chip, I might as well have been announcing to the world, "This is important. Attack this." I didn't want to attract the attention of groups like the Great Khans or the Brotherhood of Steel. Alas, the real threat was closer to home. Frontal assaults on casinos? Not good for business. In any case, Benny would see it coming, and all he'd have to do is hold the chip up and point a pistol at it. Our foremost advantage is that Benny doesn't know that I know he has the chip. Let's not squander it. That's simply not true. I am the only person to hold any rights pertaining to the chip. I designed it, and I paid for it, dearly. To develop that chip, I spent a sum of US dollars. Not the bottle caps that pass as currency these days, but a sum beyond counting. For decades, I paid salvagers to comb the ruins for it. And when it was finally discovered, tens of thousands of caps spent to have it brought here. We know how that turned out. Complete your contract, and it will be the last time I pay for the chip. Save your questions for then. What else did you want to know? I am Robert Edwin House, President, CEO, and sole proprietor of the New Vegas Strip. I oversaw the city's renovations starting from 2274 onward. The three families are my employees. Before the Great War of 2077, I was the founder, president, and CEO of Robco Industries, a vast computer and robotics corporation. We can discuss this in greater detail at another time. Suffice it to say that when my Securitrons detected NCR scouts at Hoover Dam, I took action. I recruited a tribal force to supplement my Securitrons and renovated the Strip just in time to welcome the NCR as it marched into the region. Instead of war, a treaty was negotiated, and the money started to pour in. Don't let the video screens and computer terminals fool you. I'm flesh and blood, not silicone. Let's just say it was very costly. But I was willing to make the sacrifices longevity entailed, financial and otherwise. What else did you want to know? It's understandable that you'd be curious about this topic, but we'll hold off until the platinum chip has been recovered. What else did you want to know? As I said before, Benny's fate is yours to decide. Once you've delivered the chip, I will pay you the amount agreed upon. Well enough. Return to me when you have the platinum chip in your possession. Any final matters for us to discuss? Until then.
There is a slew of information to dissect about Mr. House, voiced by the wonderful Renee Auberjonois. It's also noteworthy to state that much of what Raoul suggested about Mr. House back in Novak turned out to be true. But then again, both men are contemporaries. I'll discuss more about Mr. House in just a little bit. Returning to Victor, the robot informs him that Mr. House has allowed Gabe access to the High Roller Suite in the Lucky 38. The tower can serve as the courier's base of operations for the remainder of the game, and it is where his companions can congregate. Heading to the cocktail lounge, Gabe finds the snow globe Jane mentioned previously, and the robot is again happy to pay handsomely for the bauble. Gabe returns to the casino floor and explores. While many of the items found in the Lucky 38 belong to the old world, there are a surprising number of items from the wasteland are found in safes. How these items wound up here is unknown. Stepping outside the tower, Gabe is immediately approached by an NCR soldier.
Hey, you there. I have a message for you. It's from Ambassador Crocker. Very important. Here you go.
I'll read the letter from Ambassador Crocker delivered in full. I wish to speak with you immediately in regards to important matters. I trust you have learned enough in your travels to know that the New California Republic is an honorable nation engaged in a beneficial mission in the Mojave in general and New Vegas in particular. It is in addition a wealthy nation that well regards persons who dedicate themselves to its national interests, whether for reasons patriotic or material. Allow me to reassure you that if you have committed any crimes or misdemeanors against the Republic, it is in my power to pardon misconduct of this sort. I stand ready to receive you at your earliest convenience in my offices at the New California Republic Embassy at the south side of the New Vegas Strip. God bless the New California Republic. Dennis Crocker, Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary Department of State, New California Republic. I do want to discuss this letter, but first I would like to speak with Ambassador Crocker to add more context to the letter itself and the NCR's goals in the Mojave. We understand as players that the NCR wants the Mojave mainly to secure Hoover Dam for its hydroelectric capabilities, but we also know painfully little about what else the NCR and its all-too-distant leadership may personally be hoping to benefit from in the Mojave. Ambassador Crocker will be our first glimpse into their hidden agendas. I have Gabe head for the Tops Casino for his inevitable confrontation with Benny. As he enters, he's greeted by one of the chairmen.
Hey, fellow, welcome to the Tops Hotel and Casino. I'm gonna have to ask you to hand over any weapons you might be carrying. Smooth and easy, just the way I like it. Don't worry, they'll be as safe as kittens till you're ready to leave. Oh, and a friendly word of advice. If you happen to stumble across any weapons during your stay here, well, just don't wear them openly. You dig? Now that we got that little business out of the way, what can I do to make your Tops experience the tops? Relax, baby. The safe is houses. We'll keep them locked up in the bank upstairs right next to the money. It's serious protection. Everything your little heart desires, that's what.
You like gambling? Boom. Either one of the main hallways has cards, slots, you name it. Hungry? Thirsty? The restaurant just off the left-hand hallway has the best food and booze in Vegas. Or maybe you'd rather take in a show. The Aces Theater upstairs always has hot acts raring to go. Check it out. Have a good time, baby.
Next to the greeter stands Swank, the chairman that Mr. House suggested that the courier speak with about Benny.
Hey there, pal. Welcome to the Tops. And what can I do for you today? Ain't been on the strip long, have you, pal? Name's Swank. This is my joint. Benny oversees the business, sure, but I run the Tops day to day. I'm his right-hand guy, you dig? You might have a jaw at Tommy Torini up in the Aces. He's always looking for talent scouts. Sure, kid, sure. What can I tell you? Creepy bunch of cats, you ask me. Ah, sure, they act all polite and civilized, but there's something off about them, you dig? Don't get me wrong. That resort of theirs is ring-a-ding. But my guts say, don't go in the basement. Sure, kid, sure. What can I tell you? Ah, they're a shifty pack of rats. If I were you, I'd keep one hand on my wallet and the other on my gun whenever they're around. House is an all-right kind of guy. Sure, he keeps a pretty tight grip on the reins, but Vegas is a wild horse. You can't just give her her head. Without Mr. House, we'd still be wearing gecko skins, poking around the ruins with pointy sticks and scalping people for giggles. Man, we're only the coolest cats on the whole strip. We've been here the longest, we got the swinkiest digs, and we got caps rolling in like the tide. Everybody loves the chairman, because we show him a simple good time, no strings attached. Oh boy, those clowns? Listen up, kid, and listen good. I don't care how many fancy Latin names he gives himself, a thug ain't nothing but a thug. Warlords and emperors? Don't make me laugh. At least they got enough brains to stay the hell out of New Vegas. Mr. House had cleaned their clocks. I hear they got their act together out west. Like a real old-time country, they tell me. Nah, maybe that's true and maybe it ain't. But Vegas is a whole new scene. Those Bear Flag boys better step light unless they want a knuckle supper. The Tops? Yeah, sure, you want the nickel tour? Old Swank's happy to oblige. We got everything you could want. Slot machines in the back, cards and roulette in the front, fine entertainment upstairs in the Aces Theater. And all with your security personally guaranteed by the chairman and Mr. House's own Securitron police. It's the Tops. Really? You got something to say about the big boss, huh? Well, why don't you say it to his face instead of yapping at me? Huh? What are you talking about? That doesn't... Why would he pull a stunt like that? Got anything else to offer? He's trying to pull a fast one on the big man. Crazy bastard. You got any more? Yeah? What else you got? Yeah, that looks like Benny's lighter, all right. Still, not exactly a ton of proof. Got anything else, kid? That's pretty shady, yeah. Could be Benny's up to no good. Could be this is somebody else altogether. What else you got? Jesus, kid, I think we got a real problem on our hands. Can't believe Benny's a no-good stinking punk, trying to play house like that. Tell you what, I'll call Benny, keep him away from his suite. You go search the place. Here's the key, it's on the 13th floor. It's a room with the double doors, can't miss it. Maybe you'll find something we can show to Mr. House and get him arrested. Groovy, here's your stuff back. In case you run into company, you dig. I'll tell the boys to give you a pass to pack some heat. Go on then. Elevators to pass the slot machines on your left.
With Swank on side, Gabe heads for Benny's apartment in the Tops. Across the casino floor, he can barely distinguish the villain's checkered coat, surrounded by bodyguards as he watches over his establishment. Going to the 13th floor, Gabe enters Benny's apartment using the key given by Swank. There's nothing to be found in the main quarters, but after opening a side door in the bedroom, Gabe finds a broken down wall leading into a dimly lit computer room. A lone Securitron with a grinning face stands unattended in the hideaway.
Hey! Hi there! Good to meet you. What can I do for you today? Good question! My function is to monitor Mr. House's data network and decode his encrypted transmissions. Allow me to introduce myself. I'm a PDQ-88B Securitron, but you can call me Yes Man. It's what Benny always called me, probably because I'm programmed to be so helpful. He was around here not too long ago. He's probably down on the casino floor now. You can wait for him here if you like. I'm incapable of asking you to leave. Sure, Benny had me look at it a bunch of times. It's a data storage device, kind of like a holotape, but a lot more advanced. As for what's on it, well, some of Mr. House's data transmissions made it sound like the chip could upgrade his defenses somehow. That's just a guess, though. The chip's a proprietary format. You need special hardware to read the data on it. There are 2 locations with non-standard hardware on the network. The Lucky 38 and an underground facility at Fortification Hill. I'd look there. Oh, he wants to kill Mr. House and use the Platinum chip to copy my neurocomputational matrix onto the Lucky 38's mainframe. That should give me control over all Mr. House's defenses, most prominently his Securitrons. And then I just do what Betty tells me. Easy peasy! I was programmed to be helpful and answer any questions I was asked. I guess nobody bothered to restrict who I answer questions for. That was probably pretty dumb, huh? Oh, he had some help. A lady friend of his. She said something about living in a fort over in Freeside. But that's all I remember. This is Benny's workshop. When the tops got renovated, he had this half of the floor blocked off for his own use. I guess you could say it's my entire world. I don't think I've ever left this room, but that's okay. I'm not complaining. See you around.
Well, that was quite the educational conversation. The courier sees that Benny also has access to a secret hallway. We now understand the breadth of Benny's plan. Kill Mr. House, copy Yes Man's program into the Lucky 38 mainframe, and gain control over all Securitrons, effectively becoming the ruler of New Vegas. With the information in hand, Gabe returns to the casino floor and speaks again with Swank.
Roller, you're back. Find anything? He's what? Ah, jeez. Jeez, this is really bad. What are you gonna do? Yeah, that's ballsy. Good luck with that.
The man offers surprisingly little help, which leaves Gabe to deal with Benny. I have the courier approach the man in the checkered suit for the first time since Goodsprings.
What in the goddamn? Let's keep this in the groove, hey? Smooth moves, smooth. Hello? The guy everyone saw go in the Lucky 38, that was you? Oh, shit. Baby, this is not the place to go talking about that. What say you and me cash out? Go somewheres more private-like. Any questions you got, I'll answer. To start, I'll comp you the presidential. Best suite in the house. You deserve a taste of the VIP lifestyle. I'll hang out down here for a while to make everything look business as usual, then come to you. Any questions you got, I'll answer. Guaranteed. If that's what it takes to win your trust, that's what it takes. Follow me.
There are seemingly endless methods of dealing with Benny, and I'll discuss the rationale of the courier later. For now, let's continue the conversation with Benny in private.
Now that you and me's got some privacy, I gotta ask, how is it that you're still living? House was on to me from word go? I thought I was being so clever. Once you were vertical, how'd you track me down? To think I deemed that flint box my lucky charm. Oh, the irony. I guess that's enough scratching around at first base. Tell me, which way is the wind gonna blow? You got questions? I got answers. It's the House Edge, baby. Literally. It's what Mr. House needs to stack the odds in his favor. It's some kind of data storage device, dig? So it's the data on the chip that's platinum, not the chip itself. Trouble is, the chip don't fit any computer I've found. Must require special hardware. It has something to do with the Securitrons, I know that much. Upgrades their hitting power, gives them heft. Might be slightly useful if you're looking to defend the strip from Caesar's Legion or the NCR. Or maybe both. Baby, ease off the gas. The chip belongs in the hands of someone who can use it, as in me, not you. You'll get a piece of the action and a sweet one, but the chip sticks with me. You help me, and before long, the chairman will rule all of Vegas, dig? With enough robot muscle to back it up. You'll get a sweet, juicy cut of that action. But until that day comes, I'll keep you on retainer and pay bonuses for special missions. How's that sound? How else can I clue you in? Broad strokes? Change in management. The Securitrons are where it's at. I need a way to control them, and a way to beef up their hitting power. I get those two ducks in a row, Vegas can defend itself versus all comers. NCR, Caesar's Legion, it won't matter. Baby, the odds may look long, but that's just because we ain't done rigging them. I won't toss the dice until we are. I've gleaned a lot working with Mr. House. He was a good cat to swing with. I still got a lot to learn, but it's coming together. Baby, do you not understand the level of game here? What I did to you was rotten. But if you think House, the NCR, or Caesar won't kill to put Vegas in their pocket, I really did blow out your brains. Was a time I would have agreed with you, but this, it's too big. It affects too many people. I can't get hung up on those details. You really weren't supposed to talk to him. All right. So, he used to be a Securitron on patrol, square as the rest, until I gave him a Mickey in the shape of a pulse grenade. Once he was on the nod, I yanked some wires and dragged him up to the workshop. I had some help, you see. Gal named Emily, one of the followers over in Freeside, a real whiz when it comes to things technical. She programmed his personality. Once Yes Man was hooked back into House's data network, I started learning a lot more about what he was up to, dig? Like where and when to find you. Something else you wanted to know? Yeah, it's a tricky world out there. I'll tell it to you straight. A good cat to swing with, or was until he stopped mewing. It was House's big idea to resurrect the Strip. He recruited the three families as muscle, showed us how to set up casinos, negotiated with the NCR. None of this in person, mind you. Did all of his talking through those Securitrons of his. But lately, the silence is deafening. The robots collect House's share of the take every week, and life goes on. Ain't exactly what I'd call leadership. We're the definition of cool, baby. We know how to swing. Folks come to us to learn how to enjoy themselves. Of the three families, we're the only ones with the heart and savoir-faire to run the Strip on our own. A tribe of finks. Every single one of them is a degenerate. Mark my words, they're playing an angle. How do I know? They always are. Personally, they give me the heebie-jeebies. There's such a thing as being too polite. If I may this, my pleasure that. Don't get me wrong, that resort of theirs is strictly ring-a-ding. But my guts say, don't go in the basement. A nation of meddlers, trying to muscle in on our action. Well, we got muscles too. And smarts besides. Only reason the NCR hasn't busted up our scene is they're a little afraid of Mr. House, and a lot afraid of Caesar. If the NCR beats the Legion at Hoover Dam, they'll turn on us and claim the Strip. And we don't have the muscle to beat them. Not yet. Meanwhile, they're all that's keeping Caesar's Legion at bay. Plus, NCR soldiers and citizens are our best customers. It's complicated. Worst of the worst. A tribe of degenerate losers led by a creep. They crucify people for kicks, slaughter whole towns. The NCR beat them at the dam 3 years ago, but that didn't stop them. They spent the meanwhile gathering strength. They're gonna try to take the dam again real soon, and if they do, Vegas as we know it will cease to exist. Something else you wanted to know? Like I said, once the chairmen are running Vegas, you'll get a percentage. Until then, I'll pay you a retainer and bonuses for special missions. I know, you figured me for a creep. It's your prerogative. If you change your mind, come find me on the casino floor. In the meantime, the presidential is yours whenever you want it. Adios.
Following this long chat with Benny, it comes as no surprise that the man is unwilling to let the courier walk away. After all, Gabe knows far too much. His bodyguards go on the attack, but are no match. Exiting the presidential suite, the courier learns from Swank that Benny was last seen headed to his apartment on the 13th floor. Once Gabe reaches the room, Yes Men reveals that Benny passed through and likely escaped via the secret elevator down the nearby hallway. With Benny gone and no leads to track him down, it appears the courier missed his opportunity to retrieve the platinum chip. Although it's unlikely Benny will return to New Vegas since he's aware that Mr. House knows of his plans. Exiting the tops, the courier is approached by a familiar face.
The eyes of the mighty Caesar are upon you. He admires your accomplishments and bestows upon you the exceptional gift of his mark. Any crimes you may have perpetrated against the Legion are hereby forgiven. Caesar will not extend this mercy a second time. My lord requires your presence at his camp at Fortification Hill. His mark will guarantee your safe conduct through our lands. Incidentally, it will interest you to know that the man you seek has fled the Strip and is likely making haste for Caesar's camp as we speak. I am the greatest of Caesar's frumentari. It was not a challenge to find you. Nor is this my first visit to the Strip. Go to him, and you will understand. Seek Caesar by way of Cottonwood Cove, south of Nelson. The Cursor Lucullus will be waiting.
It appears the chase is not yet over, and Caesar's Legion is somehow aware of Benny's plan, that the courier has been tracking Benny, and where Benny will be trying to go, Caesar's own war camp on Fortification Hill. How the Legion knows all of this information is unknown and currently unexplained. I'll hold off on critiquing this character knowledge for now, but may have to later. The mark of Caesar that Wolpes and Colta gives Gabe is helpful in the event we have pissed off the Legion at any point, which, in my courier's case, he has. Considering it would be impossible to advance the plot without first dealing with Gabe's negative standing with the Legion, I find this mark to be a particularly helpful narrative device that solves the issue of the courier's standing with the faction, while also not seeming too much like a deus ex machina. For starters, it's not impossible for Wolpes and Colta to be here in New Vegas. We know he is deceitful, he is one of the best of Caesar's frumentari, although we don't know what that title means for now, and we know the Legion in general is capable of infiltrating areas. While Colta's being here on the Strip is acceptable, his timing of showing up the moment the courier leaves the tops could be slightly problematic. However, keep in mind that we have seen the Legion track the courier across the Mojave, appearing at seemingly random intervals. If a squad of random assassins can find the courier trekking along the vast wastes of the desert, they can likely find him on the Strip as well. Before Gabe returns to Mr. House, I'd like to discuss why he chose to spare Benny. To do so, let's retrace what we already know about the courier. While we know he wants to seek out Benny, his motivations for doing so are less clear, as he may be motivated by revenge for being shot in the head, or by fear of what may happen to him should he fail to deliver the platinum chip. He is unaware of what has been transpiring in the Mojave, although at this point in the narrative the courier does have standing with some factions. We also know that he was not a skilled combatant prior to entering the Mojave. Though the courier does have some experience in combat now, the several days he has spent trekking across the Mojave does not necessarily translate to being a foolhardy and merciless killer by the time he confronts Benny. Now, on to what the courier would know about Benny. He knows Benny is the leader of the Chairmen, is ruthless and savvy, is willing to betray his allies, and has concocted a plan to take control of New Vegas for himself. The courier can also see that Benny is perhaps overly confident, since the courier was easily able to figure out his scheme from Yes Man, and while Benny does hold most of the cards, he is not yet at a point where he can claim victory. What would cause the courier to pause in killing Benny outright? For starters, Benny stays put in a casino full of innocent bystanders. The idea that our courier would be willing to place these people in danger for the sake of his own vengeance would be out of character. Remember, our courier has less experience as a combatant and would be willing to seek out other avenues to accomplish his goal. We should also consider the time the courier has spent among his companions and his own experiences in the Mojave. The idea that the courier would not be shaped and affected by his conversations and by his time in the desert is unrealistic from a human standpoint. We are, more often than not, the product of our relationships and experiences. At this point, the courier needs answers more than he needs revenge, as his own actions and the schemes of Mr. House have forced him to play the big game brewing between the factions of the Mojave. Why not kill Benny in private when they meet in the presidential suite then, or in any less public space in the casino? Again, the courier should understand at this point that Mr. House and Benny are both playing high-stakes games in an attempt to control New Vegas and the Mojave. He has been dragged into this conflict, and various bodies are trying to sway him to act in their interests. Slaying Benny here does not aid the courier in parsing out what the best path to take is. When we know Benny can't be trusted, and joining him isn't a possibility, why let him live to escape? I don't think our courier is foolish enough to trust Benny, considering all he knows and has learned about the man. He would not have an inclination to be part of Benny's schemes, but considering the conversation with Yes Man and the knowledge of Benny's secret escape tunnel, the courier actually does know where Benny would go if he were to leave the Tops.
There are 2 locations with non-standard hardware on the network. The Lucky 38 and an underground facility at Fortification Hill. I'd look there!
My previous statement about having no leads wasn't quite true. This small detail from Yes Man is helpful regardless of what Wilpus and Colta tells us. The courier is already aware of Benny's next destination before he ever meets with the snake of a man. Securing the platinum chip in the casino isn't entirely necessary, since the courier will have a potentially better opportunity away from Benny's own base of power. To summarize, the courier would be unwilling to put innocents at harm, is aware that he is personally embroiled in a struggle going on between various factions, and knows killing Benny isn't a necessity, although procuring the platinum chip is. Where he retrieves the chip is frankly irrelevant, although there should be some concern that the chip is on its way to the hands of the Legion. Whether or not the Legion will know what to do with the chip is unknown at this point. Hopefully I have used enough evidence and done enough analysis to make the courier's actions regarding Benny clear. If you feel I haven't or have your own ideas of what the courier would realistically do and why, let me know in the comments. I'm not trying to be the definitive canonical source of the courier in this game, and I find the relationship between the courier and Benny to be intricate and easily debatable. This game is, after all, a role-playing game with multiple endings, although the second season of the Fallout show will almost certainly make one of the endings canon, and I have my own predictions about which one that I'll discuss at the end of the video. The courier returns to the Lucky 38 for a conversation with Mr. House.
Events have transpired in a less than optimal fashion. Benny has fled the Strip and the platinum chip has not been recovered. His destination is hardly a mystery. It's a near certainty that he's making his way for Caesar's camp at Fortification Hill. It's one of just 2 places on Earth that have the hardware necessary to read the platinum chip. The Lucky 38 is the other, of course. I suspected he'd found a way to access my encrypted databases, but, well, this explains it. That would be how he learned of the platinum chip in the first place, not to mention where to intercept you on your way in. Highly resourceful, Benny. He would have made a fine agent had he stayed loyal. It's fortunate you came along to replace him. And ironic. And whose idea was it to offer yourself up as a sacrificial lamb? Really? What did you expect? Are you going to keep giving him opportunities to kill you? It's becoming a hobby of his. You have an interest in this, whether you like it or not. You signed a contract to deliver the platinum chip to me. Now, I could stop you from leaving, but what would that accomplish? If you want to go, go. See what the strip I built, the strip I own, has to offer. Think about what I could offer you. I expect we'll have occasion to talk again.
I do want to pause a moment and note that the game is not giving the courier an option but to decline to continue assisting Mr. House. While the latter quickly reminds the courier of his contract, using it as leverage for Gabe's continued help, I do find it interesting that the courier uses this moment to try and walk away from pursuing Benny and the platinum chip. We must recall that the courier doesn't have the background of a combatant, so it may be possible he views being forced to go to the heart of Caesar's Legion to be a death sentence. Since he's also aware of the power struggle between House and Benny, the courier may also be trying to untangle himself from the web he finds himself in. It's also entirely possible the courier doesn't trust House enough with the chip, since he now knows that it can make House even more powerful and potentially dangerous. I think all of these reasons are plausible, but with Mr. House's threat and the lingering contract overhead, the courier is left with little option but to pursue Benny and the platinum chip. Upon leaving the Lucky 38, a woman approaches the courier.
Excuse me, but are you the courier who caused all of that trouble in the tops? Oh, great. The followers of the apocalypse, well, some of us anyway, have been interested in Mr. House's technology, how he stays alive. Of course, no one else is allowed inside the Lucky 38, so no one knows what's going on. Well, except for you. Right. We just want to find out what sort of technology Mr. House has used to stay alive for all these years. It could be of great benefit to the people we try to help, many of whom suffer from hard-to-diagnose illnesses. Really? Oh, I wasn't expecting you to agree so easily. That's great. Here, take this packet sniffer. It'll allow us to intercept data on Mr. House's network. You might have to manually remove the encryption from his data network, but hopefully you won't have too much trouble. Good luck.
The courier may be willing to assist Emily because his relationship with House is strained at best, but also because Gabe should understand that the followers of the apocalypse have a goal of helping people, something he has already had a keen interest in. I have Gabe enter the casino and plant the data sniffer on one of the lounge computers before returning to Emily.
Hey, have you been able to bug Mr. House's network yet? It looks like we've started getting reports from the tower's network. I'm sure the others will be able to make some sense of this. Oh, what the hell? The bug went offline. Damn it! I swear to God that old man has thought of everything. Well, it looks like this was all for nothing. But you did your best. I appreciate the help. Oh, hi. Thanks again for helping us with that data. I mean, the feed only lasted about 30 seconds, and it's not that useful, but, well, we tried. We were connected for half a minute and received enough data to fill 5 holodisks. It looked like nonsense at first, but we decoded it. It was all biometric data, life signs from Mr. House. The technology he's using is so advanced that it samples data hundreds of times per second. It's fascinating, but depressing. Whatever technology he has can't possibly be practical for the people out here. About 5 years now. I have family back in Arroyo. But this is where all the good work is being done, so to speak. NCR taxes and inflation have been hard for a lot of people to deal with, and most of the money's going to the war effort. There's not much funding for medical research with OSI or any other group. Not unless it has a military application, anyway. I'm interested in medicine, but it's not my strong suit. I try to help out with any computer issues the followers have. That's why I was helping out with the research into Mr. House's technology. Trying to, anyway. After 2 tries, I think I've learned enough. I'm sure there's something more promising I could be helping the other followers with. Oh yeah. I didn't tell you about the first time. I'd rather not talk about it if you don't mind. True. All right. The first try was a little less professional. Someone important on the strip had access to some of House's technology. Specifically, a Securitron. And more specifically, the someone was Benny. I know, he shot you in the head and everything. But this was a while ago. I knew he was sleazy, but I didn't realize he was so cold-blooded. He sure didn't. Benny was pretty tight-lipped and cryptic about the thing. But he did let me poke around in it for a while. I wound up helping Benny a lot more than he helped me. Once he had access to the Securitron's memory banks, he kicked me out of the tops. Big surprise, right? Should have seen that coming. The Securitron was disabled somehow. Might have been an EMP given some of the damage I saw. Anyway, he wanted it re-enabled and connected to Mr. House's data network. The trick was getting it to be invisible on the network. If Mr. House detects a rogue Securitron in his system, he remotely fries it. Getting around that security feature was a bit tricky. Yeah, strange as it sounds, I figured that bad-mouthing one of the Strip's most powerful people wasn't a good idea. The only reason why I'm telling you any of this is because he's gone now. What do you want to know? I already told you. I don't want to talk about it. See you when I see you.
I'll discuss Emily's traits later. I don't want my courier to leave New Vegas quite yet. Considering the Legion knows Benny will attempt to reach their camp at Fortification Hill, Gabe doesn't absolutely need to follow Benny right this second. Instead, I have him exit the strip and go to Freeside, where he enters the Atomic Wrangler Casino. Once inside, I have Gabe start a conversation with Veronica.
What'd you think of Mr. House? I was surprised he only had the 2 robot sex slaves. Am I punching too much? I get carried away. Yeah, screw him. I like long walks in the desert and candlelit metal workshops. I like punching things, but sometimes shooting things just has to do. Yeah, I've been taking things apart and putting them back together since before I said my first word. You want to build something? Talk to me, and we can do it right there on the spot. Workbenches are for novices. Who knows? I might even be able to show you a Brotherhood trick or two. My favorite subject. I want a dress. Yeah, a good one. Something elegant and classy, you know? But still stylish. Something that's eye-catching and sexy, but also says, don't fuck with me. I keep hoping I'll come across some old-world designer gown when I'm scavenging, but it never happens. Maybe I should move back to California. Hey, you try getting a date wearing scribe robes. Might as well be wearing sweatpants. I just like them, you know? They make you feel like a woman. Those ladies before the war, they knew what they were doing. Can I make it up? I would say he was my tutor, but that doesn't cover it. After my parents passed, he looked after me. The whole Brotherhood brought me up, really, but he made sure of it. I never had a grandfather, not that I knew, anyway. But Elijah was in some ways what I'd imagine a grandfather to be. It was by his request, actually. He cleared it with the other elders. Somehow. They sent him to look into the dam. There was a time when I'd have begged to follow. Watch him at work. He did. For years, he fought with the council. Taught me to question our direction. Meanwhile, he'd become more out of touch than all of them. On our way east, he demanded we stop at Helios 1 to examine it. While we were there, we received word that the NCR had taken the dam. He was furious. Called it children playing with a bomb, but he was mad because we'd lost its power. What we'd use it for. He didn't even care. They're cautious. When they discover something, they respect it, learn its limits, consider how to preserve it. Used to drive Father Elijah crazy. He liked to learn limits too, but only so he could push them. That's not to excuse the other elders, though. They all covet technology for its own sake. Some are just more fanatical than others. Yeah, I did. I couldn't help him. He just didn't listen. And the idea that people talk back to him... If he could have made the Brotherhood act like machines, ordering them around with the push of a button, he would have. Elijah could look at an old device and immediately understand what made it work. And he could see its potential, where it fit with other technology. It's not something he could teach, but he tried with me. Some of it stuck. But that's what he taught me. You ask what I learned from him. I learned what I don't want to become. In the end, there was just him and his vision. Nothing and no one else. Yeah, I miss him. I don't know. Last time anyone saw him was in the battle at Helios 1. I wasn't there. He gave orders to hold the plant until it could be reactivated. But he ran out of time. The NCR overran it. Everyone thought he was dead. But I got a note from him at a comm station. That's how he liked to talk, even to me. He wasn't good at face-to-face. It was... strange. Even for Father Elijah. He's always been unstable, but this was... something else. I don't want to say delusional, but I don't know what else to call it. The only thing familiar about it was the signature. He said the Brotherhood was doomed, but that he'd return, save us. But the way he said it... I don't know. Said he'd return with one of the greatest treasures of the old world, make the Mojave like it was meant to be. Wipe the slate clean. Like what? Just my parents, but they haven't been around for a long time. Dad was a paladin, Mom was a scribe. They died in the same battle, trying to hold off the NCR from... something. I don't remember what it was. Guess it seemed important at the time. Like what? Ever been nosy? I was, once. We were pretty young, but I like to think it was love. She left the Brotherhood. Wanted to put some distance between herself and her parents. Since our membership isn't open to outsiders, some members think that obligates all of us to procreate. You can guess which camp her parents belong to. No. Couldn't bring myself to leave everyone else behind. Couldn't convince her to stay, either. I'd hoped love would be enough to influence her decision, but it wasn't. We were both too stubborn. I don't know where she is now, but I'm sure she's moved on. I still think about her, though. Once in a while. Like what? If you take trying to keep me as far away from Hidden Valley as possible because I ask too many difficult questions as a sign of respect, oh yeah. That's not to say I don't get along with them. I just think they don't know what to do with me sometimes. Like what? Nowhere specific. I just know there are a lot of groups who are actually doing well for themselves out here. I want to understand how and why. See them at work. Ooh, got any juicy gossip? See you around.
Now that it's morning, I have Gabe make a visit to the old Mormon fort, where the followers of the apocalypse are gathered. Inside, he meets a ghoul named Beatrix Russell.
Howdy. I've been around a while, currently working for the followers as a gun for hire, but it's getting rather dull. Aside from protecting them from the occasional thug looking to intercept supply shipments, there isn't much to do around here. The one researcher I liked who I could chat up about liquor got transferred, and the rest of the docs are pretty uptight about my kind of fun. I joined up looking for a decent paying job. Granted, the pay's all right, but they won't let me kick back and slog a brew at the end of the day. They're worried the filthy drunkies in detox seeing me drink will cause an immediate relapse. I say their rehab effort here is just a revolving door. I've been around long enough to observe the patterns of human behavior. Physical and mental anguish are especially exciting to explore. Hey, who doesn't enjoy a little pinch and squeal every once in a while? What do you have in mind? Feed a man for free, and he'll be back asking for more. Feed a man a bullet, you won't hear from him again. What starts in misery tends to stay there. Freeside wasn't Freeside until 6 or 7 years ago. That's when Mr. House's robots rolled out of the Lucky 38 and started pushing everyone who wouldn't join him off the strip. Lots of folks died. Some scattered to the winds. The rest wound up in Freeside and seemed never to lose the habit of living like refugees. What about them? Pretty much the sort of gang you'd find anywhere else, just with better clothes. The king himself, though, he's got that something special you can't put a finger on. Too bad he likes girls with skin. I reckon they care about getting water and electricity from the dam, and that's where it ends. The locals here are just an inconvenience to them, something to step over or stomp down. They're here for the resources, plain and simple. Before or after the human race shot itself in the foot? I've been around long enough to have both opinions, see. Before the war, Mr. House was a famous captain of industry. Robotics, to be specific, seemed charming in interviews, until he became a recluse. Since the war, though, didn't make a peep for near 200 years. But when he came back strong and killed a lot of people. I don't know how they do it. They're like saints, those followers. If they didn't charge for their services, I'd think they was crazy. But nah, they're just naive. Warms their heart. Couple of rad scorpions, those two. Gloria is the stable one, but she'd slit your throat if there's a profit in it. Or rather, she'd tell her brother to do it for her. John Baptiste is one of the sicker humans I've had the displeasure of observing.
Like Raoul, Beatrix is aware of House's double life before and after the Great War, but seems better informed considering she was a witness to his takeover of the Strip. We also learn from her that House is apparently ruthless enough to kill anyone he deems necessary, which doesn't bode well for our courier should he continue to cross Mr. House. After this conversation, I have Gabe part ways with Veronica, sending her back to the Lucky 38's High Roller Suite. In a nearby tent, Gabe meets another doctor belonging to the Followers of the Apocalypse, Arcade Gannon.
Hi. If you're looking for medical help, try the other doctors. I'm just a researcher, not even a particularly good one. Oh, you know, finding alternative treatments for common illnesses and injuries, stim packs out of barrel cacti, and other fantastic improbabilities. As far as fruitless wastes of time go, it's quite noble in its aims. For the past 100 years or so, the Followers have managed to get by using salvaged medical supplies from the old world. But the side effect of medical success is that more people live longer. Funny how that works. Eventually, we'll run out of hospitals to loot. We need new ways to produce those supplies, or maybe old ways if this research goes anywhere. I'm enthusiastic about helping people, but nihil novi sub sole. Oh, sorry. There's nothing new under the sun. If agave and mesquite were that miraculous, the locals would have figured it out a few thousand years ago. Not from the Legion, if that's what you're getting at. Books, sheet music, gladiator movie holotapes, bits and pieces here and there. The Followers have extensive libraries, but we all draw water from the same old well. Even Caesar. I don't know anything that the others couldn't tell you. Caesar was one of the Followers. Before my time, of course. He wanted to rebuild the new world in the image of the old. A sad story of good intentions gone bad. In that regard, he's hardly unique. If you set aside his leadership capabilities, extensive knowledge, and ruthless cunning, he's just another jerk who steps on people to get his way. Certainly. Not all Followers are people persons. Besides, someone needs to do research. I have no problem with Julie sticking me back here. Out of sight, out of mind. There are worse things one can be, though I do admit it is a bit boring. Though it has a noble goal, I don't think this research will yield much fruit. No pun intended. No offense intended, but why should I go anywhere with you? Overt flirtation will get you everywhere, you know. On a slightly more serious note, if you're interested in helping out with the troubles plaguing Freeside, I can come with you. Just don't do anything obnoxious, like trying to help Caesar's Legion, and we should be fine. Understood? There's something about that robot that doesn't seem all right to me. I'm not saying we shouldn't take it with us. I'm just saying that if it were to fall into Lake Mead and be irreparably damaged, and if you threw an EMP grenade in after it, well, there are worse things happening in the world, right? It just seems a little twitchy. Some of these robots, you look at them the wrong way, don't screw in a vacuum tube right. The next thing you know, you're a pile of ash on the floor and someone's stepping out of a vertibird to sweep your remains into a Nuka-Cola bottle. Does it? Does it?
Arcade is one of my favorite companions in the game due to his complex loyalties and backstory. He also provides insight into Caesar, whom we've yet to meet. We'll talk more about both men later. Wandering about the old Mormon fort, Gabe happens upon Julie Farkas, the leader of the followers in Freeside.
Are you here to drop off medical supplies? Leave them with the rest in the middle of the courtyard. Rates of injury and illness in Freeside are very high. Supplies don't last long. Med-X, Radaway, and Fixer are Freeside essentials. I can't pay you for any supplies you bring in, but I could discount the charge for our services. So far, the Crimson Caravan won't cut us a deal. If you can convince them or some other merchant to work with us, I'll discount supplies to you. You might ask around at Mick and Ralph's, or go see the Garretts, though I suspect they're too busy poisoning Freeside to help it out. Just come see me when you've got some supplies to turn in. What do you want to talk about? More than rough, it's a damn mess. Freeside townies are constantly picking fights with NCR civilians. Thugs and thieves are always looking for a victim, and the local families are just sitting back making caps on the mess. Freeside is in dire need, but no one has been man enough to step up. The followers can only do so much to stem the tide. There is always something needing done. A few souls here in Freeside could be great assets to the community if they'd kick their addictions. We need a regular supply of medicine organized, but the Crimson Caravan wants too many caps for what we need. Lastly, tensions between the townies and NCR tourists have been going downhill fast lately. A lot of innocent people will get hurt if things blow up. What did you want to know? Bill Ronte installed that pump a few years ago, back when he was sober. It was a major improvement for the community. But lately, the Kings have started charging locals to use it, and NCR squatters twice as much. That'll come to no good. They've been Freeside's gang for the past 5 years or so, ever since Mr. House and his 3 families pushed everyone else out of Vegas. They've done a lot of good for the community, but that seems to be changing. The flood of NCR squatters has been an affront to them. I guess that explains the situation with the water pump. Usually, the king wouldn't let his crew bully folks around like that. I know they sell a lot of guns, as if that's what Freeside needs. I hear Mick handles the guns. No idea what Ralph does. Oh, them. They sell energy weapons, which are very popular with better-heeled prospectors looking to explore the wastes. Stay clear of them. Brother and sister are both psychopaths, though at least Gloria is rational. Jean-Baptiste likes killing. A den of iniquity. The Garretts do more than their share to keep the locals drunk or high enough to stay lazy. Their thugs, on the other hand, they keep wired on chems to stay dangerous. What is it with Freeside and brother-sister psychopath teams? What did you want to know? Yes, old Bill Ronte and Jacob Hoff. They're not going to kick their habits on their own. Old Bill Ronte is an exceptionally skilled machinist. He could fix the problems we've been having with Freeside's water pump, if he sobered up. The Garretts hooked Jacob on chems when he was working for them. Ironic, since he used to homebrew detox chems. He's a natural chemist. In Freeside, the drunks and drug addicts flock in and around the Atomic Wrangler. I'd start there. Sobering them up and putting them back to work would go a long way toward helping Freeside. What do you want to talk about? The big man around here is the king. Not much happens in Freeside that he doesn't know about. He has the most influence locally, and some of his crew haven't helped the situation by harassing NCR citizens and charging double for water. Some NCR soldiers have been bringing in supplies, but none of it is going to Freeside locals. I've tried to speak to both sides to no avail. The Old Mormon Fort serves as the regional hub for the followers of the Apocalypse. I am the administrator for this region. The followers of the Apocalypse aren't just interested in research. We care for our fellow man and do everything we can to help humanity. Here in Freeside, we provide food and medical services for those in need. We also have organized reconstruction efforts. With the help of Bill Ronte, we were able to install a water pump just west of here, but the Kings quickly took control of the pump. We arose from the boneyards of Edidam years ago. Since then, we have made it our mission to rebuild the wasteland and re-educate its inhabitants. We hope to forge a brave new world free of war and poverty by sharing knowledge and resources. Our primary goal is the free exchange of ideas.
From Julie, we learn a great deal about the current state of Freeside, its main factions and important individuals, and lore about the followers of the Apocalypse. As Julie suggested, Gabe finds Bill Ronte in a run-down building just northwest of the Atomic Wrangler Casino.
You seen Dixon around? He said he'd be back today. Julie? I love Julie. She's such a nice lady. One time I was working on the water pump, and she came over, put her hand on my shoulder, and told me I was doing a great job. Great job, she says. I just choked up and didn't say nothing. Compliments are so rare these days. Drop drinking? I've been drinking for a straight month. Listen, I've tried to stop, but the withdrawal symptoms are so bad, I feel like I'm gonna die. I can't stop now. Dixon sells me booze dirt cheap. It does the job, but it tastes like paint thinner, and I feel like I'm gonna die if I stop drinking for a day. I swear that guy's trying to kill me, but what can I do? Drinking other booze doesn't cure the sickness like his.
With a lead to Bill Ronte's dealer, the courier finds the man near Mick and Ralph's store. How Gabe knows to find him here is unexplained, besides the map marker telling us the location of the drug dealer.
Looking for a fix, man? I got what you need. Yeah, man. Those cats are out of their domes addicted to my shit. They can't get enough. Pretty hilarious to watch. Those fools are from NCR. I love seeing those squatters in agony. We were doing just fine before those shits came here and made a mess of things. We don't need NCR eggheads wandering around confusing things. Really? Ah, you're such a saint. You know what? I might be willing to stop, if there's something in it for me. Wait, man, you can't go around saying shit like that. Okay, I get your point. You won't have to worry about me supplying those two anymore.
After persuading Dixon to stop supplying Bill and Jacob, Gabe finds Mr. Hoff in a nearby ruin shaking from withdrawals.
You have chems, buddy? I could really use a fix. Julie's a saint, but I don't need help. I feel young and strong, as long as I get my chems. Why stop? I feel great. No worries. My guy will be here soon enough. Just wait. If I had 2 caps to scrape together, I'd buy the materials to make my own. My damn hands won't stop shaking. This guy named Dixon. Something about him seems sketchy, but I can't stop now. Last time I stopped, I felt like I was gonna turn inside out. At this point, I'm mostly buying his stuff just so I don't feel sick. Speaking of which, do you have any spare caps? What? I need a fix now! Fine. If you really care so much, then give me some shots of Fixer to calm down these shakes. I'm gonna need at least 10 shots to get me through the week. From there, the followers should be able to help. Never thought about using that combination before. Should be able to get through this with that. I think you're right. I've been through worse. I'll go to the fort and see if the followers can watch over me while I recover.
While New Vegas is hardly the first Fallout game to deal with the use, sell, and consequences of drugs, I do appreciate the location of where this narrative chooses to display these topics. We can see that Freeside is a place for the damned and forgotten of the Mojave. Most have nothing, and those who do regularly prey on the have-nots by keeping them addicted, in debt, and yet hopelessly reliant on their suppliers. Julie Farkas had said that no one seemed willing or able to help with Freeside's current crisis, and her followers essentially act as a revolving door for which to sober and clean up the desperate of Freeside. Unfortunately, with nowhere else to turn, these same people inevitably return to their old vices. Freeside is not a place of reliable or well-paying work, unless of course you are working for the very people who are causing much of Freeside's misery, which we will see play out soon. I think it's noteworthy that the player character is the only one who can change some things in Freeside, but doing so is not a requirement for the main story of the game. We either ignore their plight, or we go out of our way to help those that do not have the personal strength of mind, body, or emotion to be able to help themselves. It's also quite possible that those we help will be back in the gutter by the end of the game. But even so, the courier does have the ability to make some more practical and long-lasting changes in Freeside, and he may be willing to do so, whether for the rewards for his efforts, to better his standing among factions, or even out of a sense of kindness or compassion. Heading across the street, the courier enters Mick and Ralph's shop to discuss supplying the followers with chems.
If you're looking for guns, talk to Mick. Otherwise, I've got a nice selection of general supplies. I only offer services if the king gives the okay. Impress him and we can talk. If you haven't heard of the king, you must have been living under a rock or something. The king has his boys all over Freeside. He controls the water pump and is essentially the go-to guy for what goes around here. Alright. Yeah, I've got a little side business going. What I'm about to share with you does not leave this room, eh? Over the years, I've gradually perfected my craft to the point of perfection. No one can distinguish between my work and the real thing. What I'm referring to is passports. If you've got the caps, I can whip up a strip passport which will fool even the most well-trained eye. Hey, if you're interested and have the caps, they go for 500. Any less and it ain't worth the risk of getting caught. What do you say? You game? No problem. If you need one later, just stop in. What do you want to know? They're the local energy weapon dealers in Freeside. When it comes to lasers and plasma, they're the only game in town, and they keep it that way. Gloria's men are the best armed in Freeside and ruthless to boot. But her brother, Jean-Baptiste Cutting, puts them all to shame. If you haven't heard of the king has his... Their joint is the only place in Freeside to get it all under one roof. They've got gambling, booze, chems, and whores. They're good folks, just don't cross them. They're known for tidying up loose ends with a bullet to the brain box. Anything else I can help you with? We don't have the stills and equipment to supply the amount of meds they're looking to purchase. You could check with other wasteland merchants, but I think your best bet would be the Atomic Wrangler. They've got a bunch of stills and a seemingly endless supply of grain alcohol, which could be used as anesthetic or disinfectant. Thanks for stopping in.
Welcome to Mick and Ralph's. If you need guns, I'm your man. For general supplies and other services, see my partner Ralph. Things were better when the Omertas were buying, but we get by. Good selection from traders, and the Van Graffs keep things running. That's the thing. I have no idea. They just stopped buying guns all of a sudden. If you hear anything, let me know. Anything else I can help you with?
Are they looking to buy guns? Then talk to my partner, Ralph. Come back and see us soon.
After getting a more solid lead on a supplier for the followers and learning about the Omerta's sudden cessation of gun purchases, Gabe exits the store to make a swift but needed change to Freeside. Why would the courier kill Dixon? Well, the man preys on NCR squatters and other Freeside residents, and no one is willing to stop him. There is no court of law in Freeside other than gang factionalism, and considering the Kings are willing to tolerate his dealing, Dixon would have simply kept causing harm to others. Fortunately, Dixon needed a head to continue selling drugs, so this issue was readily solved. After dealing with a grossly inadequate ambush in a nearby alley, Gabe disposes of Dixon's remaining drugs before returning to Bill Ronte.
Come on, man, I'm dying here. What the hell? Why? I need alcohol, man. I'm gonna die if I don't get a drink. The only way you can help me now is a load of detox chems. At least a couple of doses of Fixer, a bottle of whiskey, and Radaway. I can take doses of Fixer and Radaway to gradually flush my system over time while drinking decreasing shots of diluted whiskey. This shit better be worth it, man. Man, you're one hell of an egghead. If you think it'll work, I'll give it a shot. Oh, Julie, I've really screwed things up. I'll head over to the fort and get some rest. This has gone on too long.
After convincing Bill to kick his addiction, Gabe returns to the Atomic Wrangler, where he finds Francine Garrett manning the bar.
I hear Benny went missing. I can't help but wonder what happened to him. Interesting. Well, you're gonna need to speak with my brother, James. He handles all of the trading contracts and general operations. We've got liquor, chems, and whores aplenty. Pick your fix, and we'll oblige. Our only rule is no sampling the merchandise. Caps paid in advance. If you'd like to do a bit of gambling, we have an exchange at the back of the casino on the left. I have some work I need handled. Back before we instituted the caps up front rule, we used to allow customers tabs. Well, needless to say, a few customers snuck out without paying their bills. We need someone to collect. The job would pay a percentage. If you bring all their debts back, we'll give you a cut of each. 25% is more than fair. It would add up to 150 caps if you bring them all in. All right, 50-50 it is, but you better bring back all of the caps. If we hear you crossed us, the next bounty hunter will be coming for you. Great. There are 3 people who need to be tracked down. A real mixed basket of fruits. Their names are Grex, Santiago, and Lady Jane. Grex is a bit cracked, but mostly harmless. Just don't mention anything about his lazy eye. He owes 138 caps and should still be around Freeside. Lady Jane fancies herself a high roller, but she's just another dirtbag NCR prospector. I'm not sure where to find her. I hear she's run goods for the followers of the Apocalypse in the past, but other locals might know more. She owes us 250 caps. Santiago is a suave son of a bitch, but a total pansy when it comes to fisticuffs. He owes 212 caps and should be around Freeside as well.
Why would the courier be willing to help Francine? Well, we know he is trying to make a deal between the Garretts and the followers, so doing some debt collecting could be seen as giving the Garretts more incentive to listen. Debt collecting could also be seen as morally ambiguous rather than strictly wrong or right. Francine isn't requiring violence, just the money. Gabe finds Lady Jane near the entrance to the strip.
Hello. Lovely to meet you. I haven't the time to speak to commoners such as yourself. In that case, I suppose you're here to collect. I apologize, but I simply do not have enough caps on me to cover the debt. If someone were to recover my caravan from that cave, I could easily pay in full. But who would bother with such a mess? Damn. I didn't want to hand over all of my caps because I won't have enough to get home to California. Here, take it all. I'll find my way home one way or another.
After collecting from Lady Jane, it's time to find Grex. The courier finds him just behind the old Mormon fort.
Hey, man. Can you spare a few caps? Whoa, yeah. I guess the Garrett sent you after me? Look, I've got the caps right here. Just don't hurt me. I won't. Thanks for not killing me.
While certainly the easiest of the trio to get caps from, I will say I don't care for the forced threats to Grex, unless the writers are implying the courier is hostile or prejudiced against ghouls, which we know can't be the case, since he can help the Bright followers back at the RepCon test site. Lastly, we find Santiago behind the ruins where Gabe stumbled upon Jacob Hoff.
How are you today? Santiago is fabulous. Santiago does not owe anyone. Santiago is a Freeside VIP. Indeed, Santiago is a poet among pretenders. If you're here to collect for the Garretts, Santiago is debt-free. I didn't think she was upset enough to have me killed. Here are the caps, Sale. I do the Santiago act to get out of paying for services every once in a while. I didn't think it could possibly get me killed.
With all three debts collected, it's time to get back to the Atomic Wrangler. However, I have Gabe return to the old Mormon fort first in order to report back to Julie Farkas.
Hey, good to see you. I saw them. Thank you so much for helping them. This means a lot to the followers of the Apocalypse. You have our thanks. If you need some medical supplies, come see me. With Jacob working with us, we should be able to spare a stim or fixer once a day.
Returning to the Atomic Wrangler Casino, Gabe speaks once more with Francine Garrett.
I don't care how you handled those lumps of human refuse, but you got the job done. We need you to hunt down another person. That son of a bitch McCaffrey stole a ton of caps and ran off to Vegas. I guess the fact that we farmed out his usual work to you pissed him off. No one steals from the Garrett twins. If you can kill that bastard and bring back as much as you can, you'll be paid very well. Good. Just stop on back when he's dead and you'll be rewarded handsomely. Bring his hat as proof of the kill.
Retrieving stolen money, even for the Garretts, is not something the courier would necessarily shy away from. It's reasonable that, since violence is not typically permitted on the Strip, the thief retreated there to ensure no violent end would befall him. This knowledge also gives the courier the opportunity to find a non-violent resolution to the conflict. The courier finds Caleb McCaffrey just outside the Gomorrah Casino on the Strip.
Huh, so the Garretts sent you to track me down. What a joke. Piss off. Huh, so... Now why the hell should I do that? You're below me, kid. I've been killing scum twice your size since before your mother squeezed you out. Well, that sounds like a bit of a bargain. I get to walk free with the Garretts thinking I'm dead. Sure, you can have my hat. I can always buy another with the caps I've got left. Would have been more fun fighting it out, though. See you later, kid.
With McCaffrey's hat in hand, Gabe returns to Francine to deliver the good news.
Yes! Where's his hat? This is great news. No one screws with the Garrett twins and gets away with it. I need to find a place on the wall for this. And for your reward, here's 150 caps. I trust there were also some valuables on McCaffrey. Also, we would like to set you up with a room. You can have the corner room, rent-free. It was McCaffrey's. Now that he's dead, we're happy to let you use it. Thanks for helping us.
Beside Francine, we meet her twin brother, James.
Some guys were in here earlier saying you survived Benny's goon squad. That's one hell of a feat, bud. Have a drink on me. Really now? This is news. We could possibly supply what they need, but they would need to supply us in kind. They have the tech know-how to make our stills work more efficiently. Pure alcohol means we can get our customers drunk quicker. Getting our customers drunk quicker means more caps spent at the tables and stuffing slots, if you know what I mean. Plus, the extra alcohol can serve as surgical disinfectant for their needs. The followers are a good lot. They've stitched up our boys in the past. Good. We can supply them with all the med-X they need. For the fixer, we'll only be able to send over some basic drug components. We're not in the business of getting people off drugs, so we don't really dabble in that side of things. The followers should be able to whip some up with what we have available, though. They just need to agree to fix up our stills and keep them maintained, plus cover the cost for raw materials needed to make the alcohol.
Before I continue on, I want to take a moment to pause and explain what I've done here. So I originally did accept the quest to help James Garrett find some more sex workers for the Atomic Wrangler, but I backtracked, reloaded the game, and then decided to refuse his request. And there's a good reason why. So I don't feel like the courier would be willing to necessarily do that quest for James. It's not something that I think the courier's traits lend him credence to if he's willing to help people get off of drugs, but then also willing to help people become sex workers in debt to the Garrett twins. Then I just don't feel like that's quite in character, and it's not something the courier would reasonably do. It is an entertaining quest in and of itself. It can be kind of entertaining and hilarious at times, but it's just not something I feel like the courier would do in helping two people grow their sex industry. Returning to the Strip, Gabe meets a rancher and his wife outside the tram station linking the Strip to Camp McCarran.
Howdy, son. How can I help you? But make it quick. Goddamn heat's worse in this town than in the middle of a Brahmin herd at noon. Sharp eyes on you, all right. We've gone through a heap of trouble to get in town. Ethel says I just need to wet my throat. A drink? Nonsense. All I need now is to settle a score. We didn't come a long ways just to stroll our best clothes around. There's a long list of grievances that Heck Gunderson's got to answer for, kid. I'm here to make sure that rancher stops stealing our lands. If he ain't chiseling behind your back, he just sends his men ready for a fight. Then you either sell your ranch for a penny, or you're dead. I'm tired of being trampled over, kid, and I got a good mind to stop Heck once and for all. What more you want? He's a slithering snake, what he is. One of the biggest landowners this side of the Colorado, and it's all stolen, I tell you. All that money buys him any NCR senators he wants. Scoundrels like Heck. There's just no way for us small folks to get by, much less prosper, kid. We're honest folk out there. Damn hard to make a living in the desert, kid. Heck's a different breed. Goddamn thief he is. Scaring us into giving away our lands is all he's done to strike it flush. Comes packing iron, and none can hold a candle to his men. Bad blood. I have no illusions that he'll ever stop his plundering, so I'm just gonna make him suffer. That's what I'm gonna do. Here in town, he's got a few of his armed men to protect him. I just gotta find out what he's up to, and then I'll know where to hit him hard. I got some time. What's eating you? Okay. What'd you want to know? Darn far it is, our ranch. Ethel would be happy to yap about that. I got more important things in mind, kid. Bighorn is my trade since I was a young'un. I confess, it's hard living these days, kid. The wasteland ain't the same anymore. I know it better than my wife's corset. What about it, kid? Stealing our pure breed resolve, that's how. We've faced the wasteland right in the old mug and told her to shove it. Listen, we own these lands, and I'll be damned if the NCR, those Legion bastards, or anyone else tries to walk all over us. Hell, it's all dangerous. Know why? Because you can't trust anything that stands on two legs. If you're looking for real trouble, head straight into the mountains. Men don't walk up there, for good reasons, kid. Listen, we own these lands. I hear you. What's on your mind? Like I said, kid, someone's got to rein in that greedy son of a gun. Where I come from, we appreciate good intentions. I reckon you could help me figure out what he's doing in town. Tell you what, that chiseler's blowing hot air over at that there fancy casino, the Ultra Lux. Find out what's his story here, will you? All right, kid. I appreciate it. I hope to see you soon.
If you don't mind, I have to look after my husband. He's got his reasons. And when that man gets a notion stuck in his head, he's like a bighorn or bull that's seen red. And if it means Heck Gunderson's involved, then you better step aside before the stampede tramples you over. If that's what you want to talk about, go see Walter. He'll talk your ear off. Everything he says about the evils of Heck Gunderson is true, but I've never held the notion that fighting evil with evil carries the world forward. I don't suppose you have the magic powers necessary to bring my husband to his senses, do you? He swears he won't leave this godforsaken city until he's seen Heck suffer. So far as I can see, we're the only ones in pain. That's very kind of you. Maybe this'll be the dawn of a new day. Good to see you again. Oh, a good ways west of here, in a place you've never been. Far as we're concerned, only name it ever had was Phoebus Ranch. That was before we lost some land to Heck Gunderson. The bank demanded payment in full the day after the Stockmen's Association bailed it out. I'm done talking about that man. If that's what you want, step on over to Walter. A good life if you don't mind hard work. The only real fuss is the constant bother with varmints. Fail to catch mole rats early in their breeding, and you'll have 3 or 4 head breaking their ankles in mole rat holes every day. Of course, the worst varmint of all is a Brahmin baron, with his hands in the pockets of a Republic senator. That's a problem you can't solve with a varmint rifle, though I fear my husband's apt to try. He's got Heck Gunderson in his sights right now. All right, goodbye.
Howdy. Good seeing you again. I hear you. What's on your mind? Kid, look around you. There's poison and death everywhere. And people like Heck are responsible for the misery we suffer. What right do they have to continue with their mischief and killing, huh? Hell, a good thrashing is what I want to give them. But I see your point, kid. Things will never change without us good folks. All right. I'm gonna get Ethel far away from this damn city and head back home. There's a worthy life waiting for us there. Thanks for your help, kid. So long.
Before we enter the Ultra Lux, I wanted to pause on the short mission Feeble Will. As I have stated before, the concept of revenge has been permeating across the main storyline of New Vegas, and the concept reappears in various ways, either through the courier's companions or random NPCs. In this case, we meet Walter Phoebus, a man consumed by anger and a desire for vengeance after losing some of his land to the Brahmin baron known as Heck Gunderson. The courier has the option of assisting Walter in his plans to make Heck suffer, but when we speak to Walter's wife about his quest, Ethel would prefer to let the matter be and is more realistic about their situation and the folly of Walter's plan. While this mission is relatively short, it does expand on the courier's own sense of justice versus vengeance and the merits or follies of seeking revenge. While Walter and Ethel's issues with Heck are justified, Ethel's notion that fighting evil with evil doesn't carry the world forward is a poignant phrase that not only applies to their situation, but also many of the conflicts throughout the game. I may even explore the phrase as a potential theme or message at a later date, and see how the game's narrative expands upon it at a later time. For now, let's enter the Ultra Lux Casino.
Beg your pardon, but could I trouble you to turn over your weapons? My deepest apologies for the slightest inconvenience. You have my assurance that everything will be returned upon your departure. But we simply can't have anyone waving their weapons around in the hotel. It's not the atmosphere we wish to cultivate. Please, enjoy your stay. Adieu.
The Ultra Lux is my personal favorite casino in-game. It is visually stunning compared to the dirt and grime of New Vegas, and feels like a true oasis in the desert. Sitting at the central bar is the Brahmin Baron, Heck Gunderson.
Beg your pardon, stranger, but I'm looking for someone. You ain't seen a young man with dark brown hair and a white hat on lately, have you? Ain't nobody got one darn piece of news about my boy. Not one lousy speck of information. Ain't got one Brahmin unaccounted for across a dozen ranches. But I'm here for an hour and my own son just up and disappears on me. Yep, got a whole mess of Brahmins to my name. Bighorners, too. Used to just have the one ranch, but land was easy to grab before the soldiers moved in. Before I knew it, I was running one of the biggest ranching operations east of California. Now, everywhere I go, folks I never even met shake my hand and call me Mr. Gunderson. Don't quite know what to make of that. Made me a special arrangement with the hotel. They want to do business with me, they got to play by my rules. A lot of people out there resent success. Might want to take a swipe at me. This makes them think twice. If I'd have been thinking, though, I'd have had him watching my boy instead. Then none of this would have happened. My boy, Ted, he was right here. I didn't leave him but a minute. I told him to stay put while I talked some things over with the White Glove folks. He was never one to stay tied down to a spot, though. Gets that from his mother. Got most of my staff out looking for him now. I'd be out myself, but I keep hoping he'll show up back here. Of course, if he does that, I'll whoop him till his skinny hide turns to leather for putting me through this. But that don't mean I wouldn't be grateful. That's between me and the White Glove Society. But let's just say they control the food supply around here, and I got lots of food to give. But that ain't as welcome as you might think. That's what they call themselves, the folk that run this place. They're the ones dressed all fancy with their bow ties and shiny dresses. Some of them got masks, too. Real hard to trust folks like that. A couple of them show their faces, and that's who I do my business with. I don't talk to none of the other ones. I'd be more than happy to have you. Heck, I'll hire anybody with a pair of legs and at least one good eye at this point. There'd be a lot of money in it for you if you can get him back to me safe. And if he ain't, you can bet I'll pay for the names of the sons of bitches responsible.
Although the courier is no longer helping Walter Phoebus in his revenge, he now knows why Heck is at the Ultra Lux. To make a deal with the White Glove Society, primarily, but now also to find his missing son, Ted Gunderson. While the map marker does indicate whom the courier should talk to in order to progress the mission, it's reasonable that Gabe would simply ask about the casino to find information about Ted. Entering the Gourmand, the Ultra Lux Casino's restaurant, Gabe meets the leader of the White Glove Society, Marjorie.
Welcome to the Ultra Lux. I do hope it exceeds your every expectation. I do, but one can hardly call it work. I think of myself as a caretaker rather than a common laborer. I suppose it is a labor of love if it can be called labor at all. We at the White Glove Society are all responsible for maintaining the beauty and class of the Ultra Lux. And as its founder, I suppose it falls to me to decide how we go about it. What else? Mr. Gunderson and I have been discussing his livestock. It's put us in a rather delicate position, you see, his coming here. Not that we aren't grateful for his generous offer. But our executive chef, Philippe, has transformed Brahmin steak into a delicacy. He really is a genius. Everyone wants it. But a delicacy is just that, delicate. If everyone can get it, it ceases to be a delicacy. It becomes a perfectly ordinary staple. And if the gourmand served staples, it would no longer draw the caliber of people it deserves. It would be a diner or a family restaurant. So as much as we'd all love for there to be enough steak for everyone, I'm afraid there are more important things to consider. This again? I thought this was all settled. I answered every one of that investigator's questions to his satisfaction and gave all the help I could. I know our reputation hasn't always been spotless, but that's all in the past now. How some people can't get over it is beyond me. For the last time, the White Glove Society has never and will never consume human flesh for any reason. It's written in the charter. There was an investigator who came through here last week. He'd been hired by a young man whose bride-to-be went missing during their stay here. Well, you can already guess what probably happened, can't you? It seems perfectly likely that she got cold feet and ran off. And that young groom just didn't have a clue, the poor dear. A man? Well, then this can't be. 2 disappearances in my hotel? What will people say? I'm going to have a word with my staff about security on the premises. Whether these people are found or not, our guests simply must feel safe in their own rooms. Why, yes, I think so, if he hasn't checked out yet, that is. I had our maitre d' Mortimer offer him a complimentary room for as long as it took for him to be satisfied. You see, the White Glove Society remains the very picture of courtesy, even in the face of such impolite accusations. We have nothing to hide here. Now, didn't I already tell you that we don't do that sort of thing? We do not engage in cannibalism here under any circumstances. Though we haven't always been the White Glove Society. There was another time, a dark time, when we went by a different name. But that's all changed now. We've evolved past such base impulses since settling into our new home. I've seen to it that those days are behind us.
It's clear the founder of the society is a bit unaware of what's been happening in her casino. Gabe leaves the gourmand to speak with the maitre d', Mortimer.
How may I be of service, sir? Private investigator. Ah, yes, I remember the gentleman. This was about the missing bride. Such an awful thing. I do hope he finds her whereabouts. If I might pry, have you found something that will help his investigation? Good. I hope that young man gets some closure after all he's been through. Now, ordinarily, we don't give out guest information, but I think given the circumstances, he'll want to speak with you. Let's see. He hasn't checked out yet. If you head back to the hotel rooms, his will be 1 floor directly above you after you exit the lobby. I hope we can put this whole matter to rest at last. My, such a popular question. I suppose it is only natural to see us and wonder what it is that makes us special. The White Glove Society has only just made itself known to the public, of course, but our pedigree was established over generations. Were we always so refined? I'd be lying if I said yes. But I've always felt we were destined for a place atop modern society. And now, here we are. Not everyone can wear the finest clothes and eat the finest foods, obviously. That's just the reality we live in. But surely we can agree that the most tasteful, sophisticated people are the most deserving. And that's what the White Glove Society is all about. Ah, yes. I've heard that one too. Jealous people say such nasty things. I feel sorry for them. I can assure you that the only thing the White Glove Society is guilty of is preparing the tastiest cuisine you'll ever sample. That is, of course, if you can afford it.
With a lead on another possible disappearance and the previous investigator, Gabe climbs to the next floor to meet the contact. Upon entering the room, though, two masked members of the White Gloves attack with canes.
Over here!
You like that?
Come on!
The White Gloves are kind of dramatic when they die. Anyway, once they've been taken care of, Gabe is free to inspect the room. He finds the investigator, a dead man named Crusoe, on the floor. His name seems to be a letter off from the Pink Panther's chief inspector, but to be fair, the Frenchman is a far better investigator than Crusoe apparently was. On Crusoe, Gabe finds a matchbook instructing the investigator to meet in the steam room at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Regardless of what time Gabe actually goes there, the courier finds a member of the White Glove Society waiting.
Who are you? Matchbook? What about the man I gave it to? Oh my goodness me. They must know he was talking to someone on the inside. They'll be watching everyone closer now. I knew this was a mistake. Mortimer, if he realizes it was me the investigator was planning to meet, he'll have me killed. Yes, the White Glove Society strictly forbids eating humans, but we weren't always the White Glove Society. Mortimer and some of the others have regressed to the old ways. They've taken many people over the last few months, but always from Freeside or secluded places where they wouldn't be missed. It wasn't enough. Lately, they've gone for tourists here on the Strip, even in the hotel. I guess that's the hazard of a cannibal becoming a gourmet. It's hard to please a refined palate. The girl, the one who disappeared, I know what happened to her. Because I distracted her fiancé while they took her. Well, I'm not proud of it, but I had to. They could see I was having second thoughts. Some of the White Gloves began meeting privately a while back, started talking about how we'd lost our identity. I started attending because I thought it was about changing our politics. Then they started talking about returning to the old ways, and there was no way out. They'd kill me for the things I heard them say. He's alive, as far as I know. We're trying to keep him fresh. Mortimer has special plans for him. The White Glove Society has a banquet every night at 7. It's in our private section. Mortimer wants to reintroduce humans into our cuisine. Since eating people is a crime we punish by death, he's going to do it in secret. After everyone has eaten it, he'll tell them. With no real way to punish everyone, in Mortimer's mind anyway, their minds will be open to the idea of eating people as a delicacy. I don't know exactly, I wasn't in on it. I think some of them have stopped trusting me. But you can bet they're keeping him near the gourmand. Our chef, Philippe, has an obsession with fresh ingredients. It'd be back in the members-only section, so you'll have to be careful. Don't be seen, and more importantly, don't let them see Ted in the open. It's guarded both at the lobby entrance and in the access tunnels leading from the main restaurant. I could sponsor you as an honorary member, but I don't know that you've achieved the level of status that would gain the Society's approval. Perhaps if you were to gain some more notoriety on the Strip, we could get you in. Otherwise, you'll have to find some way to get inside quietly. It won't be easy, and it'll be harder still to get them out. That may be true, but I wouldn't recommend it. He's built a reputation, and it isn't for calmness and impartiality. He's not what he looks like. They call him Hurricane Heck. The man built his empire by hiring mercenaries to drive off the competition. Lately, he's been attacking our Brahmin suppliers so he can take over their business. He's the sort to pound in a nail with a wrecking ball. If you give him the whole story on this, he'd be liable to raise the entire hotel. And God knows what he'd do to the rest of the Strip. They might, but to him, the legacy of returning to the old ways is worth his own life. I don't think he expects it, though. I don't either. Nothing is more important to the Society than being on the cutting edge of New Vegas cuisine. Mortimer's idea will appeal to that need. He just has to get them over the taboo. It'd be bad. Well, they'll all be sampling pre-war wines before the meal. Maybe it's as simple as drugging them. Although that wouldn't stop any future kidnappings. You'd have to expose Mortimer, but he's going to confess anyway. What if What if his revelation were a lie? What if no one had eaten human flesh but him? If you could somehow replace Philippe in the kitchen and serve a convincing substitute instead, you could walk Ted right through the middle of that room after Mortimer speaks, and then he'd have some explaining to do. Philippe has been trying to approximate the taste of human flesh for years. He must have a recipe somewhere. Let's plan on meeting again as soon as... Wait, did you hear something? Were you followed?
Looks like break time's over.
Poor Chauncey. Anyway, Gabe now has a few avenues by which to either aid Mortimer, expose Mortimer, or simply rescue Heck from the White Gloves. And so continues one of the most frustrating quest lines in the entire game, mainly because it is highly glitchy and tedious to end up with a morally upright ending. Suffice to say, no one is able to sponsor Gabe into the White Gloves, so I decide to have Gabe leave the Ultralux to rack up some reputation on the Strip in order to be inducted into the society. Gabe finds his way to the NCR embassy on the Strip. He meets the secretary, Liza O'Malley.
Welcome to the NCR embassy. How can I help you? Ambassador Crocker can be found in his office through the door to my right and at the end of the hall. The embassy offices are to your left, while the barracks and living quarters are to the right. If you're looking for a history lesson, I suggest you talk to Ambassador Crocker. I don't have time to give my life story to everyone that passes through. Is there something I can actually help you with?
Following her directions, Gabe finds his way to Ambassador Crocker's office, where they have a conversation.
I'm glad you could make it. I have something I wanted to discuss with you. It's a very important matter, and I have a strong feeling you're the perfect person for the job. I'm sure you've noticed that things are a little tense around here with all the issues between the NCR, the Legion, and Mr. House. It doesn't take a genius to see that something big is going to happen soon. To be honest with you, the NCR is in a tight spot. But if we fail now, it's the people here that are going to suffer the most. I'm not willing to let that happen, and I don't think you're the kind of person that would either. To the northeast is a settlement. The locals here call them boomers. They're sitting on a munitions stockpile that would be invaluable to us. I would like you to get in contact with them, and then do whatever it takes to convince them to help us. Unfortunately, the boomers keep to themselves and are, let's say, hostile to all outsiders. That's why I need someone like you. Someone with your background and reputation would have a better chance of reaching them than anyone I have available. In exchange for your help, you would receive complete amnesty for any past crimes against the NCR, as well as additional benefits and perks. Do you think you would be able to do this for me? Much appreciated. Once you've talked to them, come back and let me know if they will help us. Thanks for doing this. Remember, we need their resources to help us in the upcoming battle. Do whatever it takes. Interested in politics, huh? Well, grab a seat and get comfortable. I've been in politics quite a while now. Always had the drive to do it even when I was young. It's just something I was drawn to. I started my career over 20 years ago, back in the NCR as the local mayor, and worked my way up from there. I managed President Kimball's first run for a seat on the council. I suppose that's why I have this ambassadorship. I was elected to this post 7 years ago. I'm the third NCR representative to serve here in Vegas. Now, I've had my share of ups and downs along the way, but I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. That's it. Anything else you wish to know? I can provide a quick history lesson, if that's what you're looking for. In 2274, President Kimball sent the NCR Army into the Mojavian Force with the objective of occupying and repairing Hoover Dam. Rangers and Army scouts had confirmed that the dam was basically unoccupied and could be restored to an operable condition. Upon arriving at the dam, however, they discovered that a large force of tribals and robots had occupied it. This was our introduction to the three families, the Securitrons and, of course, Mr. House. Using his Securitrons as intermediaries, Mr. House called for parley. He claimed his forces had occupied Hoover Dam in order to safeguard it for our arrival, and that he was ready to turn it over to us, so long as we could agree to terms. Those terms became the Treaty of New Vegas. The treaty recognized Mr. House's sovereignty over the Strip and granted us rights to establish military bases at the dam and McCarran Airport. The NCR is legally permitted to send 95% of the electricity produced by the dam to our home states. The remaining 5% goes to the Strip. The treaty actually makes it illegal for the NCR to prevent its citizens or troops on furlough from visiting the Strip. Once on the Strip, our citizens are subject to arrest or punishment by House of Securitrons, though that's a rare occurrence. Our troops enjoy a different status. It's illegal for the Securitrons to take action against them. Of course, it's also illegal for our troops to carry firearms on the Strip, so there isn't much trouble they can get into. Our military police does an adequate job of keeping the troops on furlough in line. I don't envy them that task. The embassy was established a few weeks after the treaty was signed. Basically, Mr. House handed us a dumpy little building he had no interest in renovating. I'm the third ambassador to hold this post, and the first, I think, to accept its limitations. My predecessors had ambitions of engineering the annexation of the Mojave. They thought they'd convince Mr. House to join up. I've never even spoken to the man, or whatever he is. Maybe the situation will change once we've beaten the Legion once and for all. Now we mostly just keep track of the NCR citizens and troopers around and make sure they don't get in trouble, but that's Captain Papa's job. I keep myself busy with paperwork and reports that get sent back to the NCR. It's mostly busy work, but every once in a while we make progress. It's the same old stuff around here. Gambling, debauchery, drunkenness, it's all here. I'm getting a little old for it, however. If you want more information, try talking to some of the other guys around here. I don't get out of the office much anymore.
After receiving an assignment from Crocker, the courier can speak with two more people at the embassy, Captain Pappas and Private Irwin.
I hear you've been meeting with Mr. House in the Lucky 38. I bet you think you're pretty special, don't you? Special or not, stay out of trouble, and more importantly, stay out of my way. Yeah, more of the usual. We're keeping an eye on the troopers to make sure they don't do anything stupid. Yeah, the only stupid one we've had lately is Private Irwin. He's starting to cause more trouble than he's worth. Not much to tell. Keeping the troopers in line and monitoring the Strip keeps me busy. It's my job, and I'm gonna do it well. Now, if that's all, I've got work to do. Crocker isn't too bad. He mostly stays in his office now. If you have any questions about the embassy, you should ask him. He'll talk your ear off.
So you're the one that went into the Lucky 38. I bet that was pretty creepy. What can I do for you? Us troopers mostly come to the Strip for our R&R. We blow off some steam by gambling, drinking, partying, or fighting. If you're looking for a good time, I'd suggest hitting up Gamora. The girls there are pretty nice, if you know what I mean. What have you heard? I know people think I'm a little on the wild side, but I'm just trying to have fun, you know? Just because I happen to get into fights and like to pull pranks doesn't mean anything. He's a little stiff and stuffy. Doesn't leave the office that much, always surrounds himself with papers and reports. I've always wanted to play a prank on him, but there's no way I could ever pull that off without getting in trouble from Captain Pappas. Yeah, I got a few ideas that I'm working on. Maybe I'll let you in on it once I have something. Now, she may be a bit of a hard ass, but she's the best damn captain we've had here. I'd be careful around her. You don't want to get on our bad side.
Across the road from the NCR embassy, the courier finds Michelangelo's workshop, where all of New Vegas' signs are made. Inside, Gabe meets the man himself and some of his assistants.
Oh, hello, I am Michelangelo. How can I... wait. Are you here to deliver more billboard requests? Please tell me you're not a messenger on behalf of Mr. House. That's great to hear. Really great. I'm Sheldon from Vault 21, although here I go by my artistic name, Michelangelo. So what brings you here? Well, not much, really. Vault 21 was my home. My dear home. I left it to explore the outside world. At first, it was a marvel to behold. My inspiration flowed true, and its works caught Mr. House's attention. And that's how I ended up in this place. I feel haunted by something terrible. Working in such a huge workshop often makes me shiver. I can't even leave the Strip. Yes, I think so. But please, keep quiet about it. Without inspiration, I'm as good as a tumbleweed drifting in the barren wasteland. Wouldn't that be great? No, Mr. House filled it with concrete. Only a few rooms and halls remain. My sister was able to turn them into a hotel.
Most people don't understand what it means to grow up in a vault. Its corridors, its walls, radiate a warmth that feels safe, honest. But here, everything is huge and threatening. It's so empty that I think one of these days I'll just snap. You mean Mitch? Oh, it's been ages since I've heard the name. My sister and I used to call him Mole Butt. Don't ask. That was a long time ago. Before we exchanged the warmth of our home for the thin air of the wasteland. Well, at first it was It's this place. My inspiration ebbs and I don't know how to stop it. Oh, I can't feel the warmth anymore.
Hi. What can I do for you? You saw our front sign, didn't you? This is where all the beautiful signs of the Strip become a reality. It all comes from Michelangelo's imagination. We do a little work here and there too, sure, but he's the real artist. He's the reason the Strip shines like a star at night. Mike's imagined and built every sign, billboard, and light you'll see around here. I've been here over a year now, though I'm not one to get tired for long. I plan to roam the wasteland once I'm ready. The people need light and kindness. There's too much fear and pain out there already.
Next door to the sign workshop, Gabe finds the Vault 21 Hotel, run by Michelangelo's sister, Sarah.
Hi, I'm Sarah Weintraub. Welcome to the finest vault hotel in the whole world. I have all sorts of things. Vault souvenirs, vault wares, vault machines, vault mementos, and vault suits. And, well, lots of other vault things, too. Okay. Anything else I can do for you? No, silly. Of course it wasn't always a hotel. I grew up in it. I love it. My favorite place in the world. Not that I know much of the world. I never left this place, come to think of it. But it is the most special vault ever. My vault is pure New Vegas. Everyone has a chance, and Lady Luck smiles if you play your odds right. Okay, it was like that before we had to leave. Vault 21 had very smart ways to help people get along. All arguments and fights got solved through gambling. I'll give you a quick tour of my home. Oh yeah, if you like. Rightio, Daddy-o. Let's do it.
As Sarah takes us on a tour, I will point out that the vaults and vault life are very much so secondary to the narrative, which is a tad unusual for a Fallout title. Visiting or exploring any of the vaults in this game is optional from what I can recall, although each has its own unique feel and focus. Vault 21 is the most intact of all the vaults in the Mojave, despite Mr. House filling the majority of it with concrete. What remains is reminiscent of the pristine Vault 101 from Fallout 3. I do think the idea of Vault 21 solving its issues through gambling is interesting, but otherwise pretty standard for the scientific and social experiments conducted at the vaults across the United States. Compared to the other vaults in the region, the social experiments at Vault 21 were relatively benign. Following the tour, Gabe speaks with Sarah once more.
Good to see you again. All right, what would you like to know? No, silly, of course it wasn't always a hotel. Mr. House has everything to do with Vault 21. He tried to get us out before he filled it with concrete. I almost went ape. So we convinced him. Okay, Sheldon and I, right? We convinced him to leave the top level mostly intact. I don't know, maybe he didn't want anybody sneaking around down there. My vault runs deep and wide. It's filled with corridors and rooms that go far. What gives him the right to screw us with the royal shaft anyway? So he saved New Vegas. Woohoo! Now scram and let us go on with our lives. Sheesh.
Inside Sarah's room in the vault, Gabe can find another snow globe to return to Mr. House. Returning to the surface, Gabe revisits the Tops Casino, where he finds the Aces Theater. Inside, he speaks with Tommy Torini, who runs the club.
Hey, hey, welcome, welcome, welcome to the finest entertainment experience in New Vegas. My name is Tommy Torini, and how can I make your night? Dig it, baby. He beat feet to his suite. You scare the big boss man or something? Sure, baby, sure. Tommy's always looking for new talent to bring to the Aces. Tell you what, you see any good acts while you're out wandering, give them my card. If they work out, I'll give you a 3% cut of the door. Just swing back by as you recruit folks. I'll get you your bread. Ring-a-ding, my card. Well, it was my idea. Well, me and the rest of the Rad Pack boys. We took it to Benny, and he thought it was a good idea. A few years later, here we are. The best show in New Vegas. Benny? He's an all-right cat, you dig? He don't got much musical talent, but he knows how to run a business. When he's around, anyways. Well, now, you didn't hear this from Tommy, but Benny likes to go off on a bender now and then. Usually he's only gone a couple of days, but this last time, nobody saw him for almost a month. Ask me, I think he's got a dame from Gomorrah, holed up in his suite, because nobody ever saw him leave it. Well, apart from serving as a talent manager, show schedule, and all-around man in charge of this fine theater, I happen to be its headline act. Every night from 8 till midnight, come on by to see the Rad Pack Review live, only right here at the Aces Theater. Well, acts are a bit thin on the ground right now, but every night from 8 to midnight, we got the Rad Pack Review. Songs, dancing, jokes, we got it all. You know it, baby. Now, why would you want to go breaking Tommy's heart asking a question like that? Here I run the finest entertainment venue in all New Vegas, and you're asking me, what else is there? Nothing close to what we got here at the Tops, that's for sure. It's cool, baby. Tommy's a forgiving fella. Take it easy, baby.
Stepping outside the Tops Casino, Gabe doesn't have to look far to find a new talent for the Aces Theater.
Hey, come on, pal, I'm trying to put on a show here. You're welcome. All right, then make it snappy, kid. This isn't exactly a lucrative career enterprise here. The name's Knight, Billy Knight, and this here's what a lifelong career in comedy will get you, oi. That's exactly my point, kid. Exactly my point! If you believe my mother, since she first laid eyes on me, first thing she said was, boy, that's a funny-looking kid. I guess I got a face only a mother could love, because no one else would give me the time of day. Hey, maybe you can help me. See, I can never tell when it's lunchtime. Hey now, come on. I prefer the term outdoor entertainment bonanza. Besides, have you seen the caps whores make in this town? I should be so lucky. Yeah? Hey, you're all right. Tell him I'll do it for 100 a night. No, 50. No, 20. 10. Just don't rob me, I'll do it. Whoa, geez, what was I thinking? You're right. I gotta go in there with a cool head. Tell them how much I'm really worth.
I almost feel bad for sending that man to Tommy. Anyway, Gabe returns to Jane and is paid for another snow globe. Gabe finds another act for the Aces in Hadrian, the ghoul comedian working at the Atomic Wrangler.
Whoa, baby. Am I looking at a mirror? Or are you just that ugly? What? You mean you're not part of the act? Huh. Sorry. Thought you were the heckler Garrett hired to spice up the shows. Either you need to get your eyes checked, or that famous fleeting thing is true. And since I happen to be world famous, you must be going blind. Name's Hadrian. Bet you never saw a ghoul in a suit before, huh? Course, you don't exactly strike me as the worldly type. Yeesh, is my act that bad? Or are you just that dumb? Yeah, that's right. Got me a nice juicy contract with the management. Okay, I admit it. I ain't exactly rowing in caps here. But what do you want? I'm under contract. I can't get out. Too bad I got this ironclad contract with the Garretts. They'll never let me out of it. Huh. Good luck. Garrett's a tough, mean son of a bitch. He's not likely to give up. Let me know if you make any headway.
Now, why would I want to do that? His performances make me quite a lot of money. I suppose you've got a point. Plenty of Brahmin on the prairie and all that. Fine, I'll cut him loose. He's all yours.
Really? You mean I'm finally out of this shithole? That's great. Thank you.
With Hadrian out of his contract, the next acts can be found far from New Vegas. I don't care to spend much time on how Gabe knows where to find these people. It is a game mechanic, and while it does cause a narrative problem of character knowledge, I'm not going to waste time in what's already been said. Sure, we could make improvements by forcing the courier to ask around New Vegas or the Mojave for leads, but that would simply delay the inevitable of this fetch quest. The next piece of talent we have already seen before, the man with a guitar not far from Boulder City.
Howdy there, partner. My story's a long one, friend, and I can't say as it's all that interesting. Well, I was born in a little town out Montana way. Me and Ma didn't have much, ever since my pa up and left. No, sir. I'm 28. Why? That he did. Never did know why. Ma always said he was a real mysterious fella, even when he was with her. Like he was a stranger sometimes. Maybe. Maybe I just never felt like I belonged back home. It sure wasn't easy. Ma worked her fingers to the bone to make sure we had enough to survive. And I worked the coal mines from when I was 15. After Ma died, I guess I wanted to find my pa and get some answers from him. Been out here looking ever since, but he ain't an easy man to find. Can't say as I really know. Maybe I'll just ask him why. Maybe I'll punch him right in the mouth. Hell, the more I talk about it, the more the whole damn thing sounds like a dumb idea. Maybe I should. Don't suppose you know any place a fella with a guitar might find a job, huh? Maybe it's time to give these tired old bones a rest. All right, show me what you've got. Much obliged to you, friend. Oh, this old thing? Why, thanks, friend. This here guitar is just about the only thing my daddy left me. Just about my whole life, ever since my daddy left Ma and me and went off to roam the wastes.
While I'll talk about the Lonesome Drifter later, I will point out that we learn a definitive truth about the courier. He visited Montana 17 years ago. This is one of the few instances where the game can give us background information on the courier, although we have yet to get to the Lonesome Road DLC. After this meeting, the courier visits Novak and grabs some sleep in his hotel room. The next day, he finds the final act a few rooms down.
Oh, please don't kill me. I swear I'll have... Wait, you don't work for Mr. Bishop, do you? Sorry, it's just you look like his type, you know? You got that hard-ass wasteland explorer thing going on. Oh, so you have heard of me. Yeah, that's right. I was the big draw at the Shark Club. People used to pay hundreds of caps to see me. You don't know Mr. Bishop. He's not like other bosses up there. He knows the wasteland like the back of his hand, and he likes to wander it. I knew if I didn't get way the hell away from New Reno, he'd run me down like a dog. Oh, well, that's all just a big misunderstanding, see? Mr. Bishop, well, he owed me a lot of money, and, you know, he's a busy guy, so I sort of figured I'd just take it off his hands. Robbed is such an ugly word. It's more like I took care of a payroll problem for him. Also, I might have, sort of plowed his daughter. A little. I guess I don't. That's why I'm here. You do that? Great. I really appreciate that. Really? The tops, huh? Well, it's no shark club, but I hear security on the strip is real tight. Even Mr. Bishop wouldn't hit a joint like that. I'll check it out. Thanks.
Finishing up with Mr. Isaac, we learned that the courier can be seen as a hard-ass wasteland explorer, which shows that Gabe probably has a few more scrapes, scars, bruises, and dust on him at this point. In other words, he's developed from the bound deliveryman from the Goodspring Cemetery and has been shaped by his experiences. Returning to the Aces Theater, Gabe reports back to Tommy Turini.
The cowboy act? Yeah. He dropped on in here not too long before you. He's got chops, baby, real chops. And I ain't just talking about that mustache. And like we agreed, here's your fee. 3% of the cut comes to 100 caps. Don't spend them all in one place now. Unless it's right here. You talking about Mr. Isaac? Damn, baby, when you bring them in, you bring them in. That cat's gonna bring me money like you wouldn't believe. Here's your 3%, baby. You enjoy that. That comedian, you mean? Yeah, he was a hell of a haggler. Cost me a pretty cap. Hope he's worth it. Here's your 3%. That ugly mug with the razor tongue? Dig it, baby. He'll be one hell of a novelty act. Just like Tommy promised. Here's your 3%.
Now that the courier has a bit of a reputation on the strip, he visits Michelangelo again, who is needing some assistance with finding inspiration.
An educated fellow. Now that is almost as rare as artistry. So, how can you help me regain my inspiration? Thank you for the offer, but I think I really can't go to see... Wait a minute. I know, I don't have to necessarily be there to see it. Yes, that's it. I have a camera. It is old, but it should work. Perhaps you could bring me images of inspiring landmarks. I've always wanted to see the dinosaur and its thermometer sign at Novak. Then there's the famous Bison Steve sign. The McCarran Airfield and the Helios 1 power station signs are of much interest to my work. Like the Sunset Sarsaparilla headquarters bottle. Thank you. I really can't thank you enough for this. Please, get me all the pictures. I'll compensate you accordingly. Oh, and if you need more camera film, then just come back and I'll get it for you. Again, thank you.
I won't bore you with actually taking pictures of the landmarks, but we will be pausing along the way of our photogenic journey as Gabe meets certain people, such as Private Ortega on the outskirts of the NCR sharecropper farms.
Is there something I can do for you? I'm a private in the NCR Army, and I've been proudly serving for 2 years now. Although if you were to ask what I'm doing right this instant, I'm patrolling the farms. It's a safe post, but a little boring. I do get to take shots at marauding mole rats every once in a while, and that's always fun. It's NCR-owned farmland. It produces a lot of the crops that supply McCarran and the dam. The farmers are all civilians, though. They work the farms, and in return, they get a safe place to stay and clean food and water. Some of them aren't all that grateful, though. I shouldn't have brought it up. It's not my place to spread gossip. All right. Some of the farmers, especially Trent Boscom, claim the NCR isn't giving them the water they need to meet their crop quotas. Personally, I think they're just incompetent and making excuses. The NCR ought to send them all crying back to California. Oh, you'd better believe it. I feel sorry for the troops who are charged with keeping the Fiends from overrunning everything. The Fiends are scary because they're unpredictable. One day, they'll be taking pot shots at you and then running off before you can shoot back. And the next day, they'll come rushing at you pumped full of drugs and not stopping until you or they are dead. Current orders are to hold the line and nothing more. That's all we seem to do these days. Hold the line. I guess it's a tricky situation since there's a vault in Fiend territory. If the NCR went after them, they'd just hole up.
I will say I greatly appreciate how they managed to muffle Ortega's voice since her face is covered. We also meet Lieutenant Romanovsky and Trent Bascom, one of the local sharecroppers.
I'm not a recruitment officer. You want to join the Army? I'm sure someone at McCarran can point you in the right direction. Impressive, aren't they? You don't see anything like this outside of NCR territory, that's for sure. We get the water, clean water, pumped in from Lake Mead. If you follow the big pipes, they'll take you all the way to the lake. A lot of the crops grown here support the various NCR camps in the region. McCarran, Goff, and Forlorn Hope, to name a few. We can't have wastelanders popping in here for a free meal, so my squad and I are assigned to keep things from going to hell.
Howdy. Something I can help you with? Sure do. Came from the hub on account of the Thaler Act. Farming's decent work, but the whole thing's a bum deal. Something the politicians back in Shady Sands came up with. They pay us to move here and farm the land. They even protect the fields. Bad soil and ration water. It's to be expected around here. But the rationing's off. Worst part is NCR won't admit it. Pretty hard to meet their crop quotas with 20% less water than we're supposed to be getting. Not that OSI cares about any of this. They're part of the deal, the Thaler Act. We work the fields while they protect the crops and the water. A lot of folks come to New Vegas and lose everything in Freeside of the Strip. They get hungry, desperate, and try to take our hard work. Much as I sympathize, their theft would put me in a bad spot. I got a crop quota to meet. Everything I can. Farmers out here don't have the luxury of being picky. I get by mostly on maize and tobacco. Can do. Adios.
While rather non-essential as NPCs, I do find the idea that the NCR would even bother trying to produce agricultural supplies in the Mojave Desert to be somewhat strained in belief. The amount of manpower and technology needed to make such a feat work seems hardly worth the effort, and importing goods from the west seems more logical. The only other noticeable occurrence happens in Prim. When Gabe steps inside the Vicky and Vance casino, he's suddenly ambushed by a group of NCR deserters.
What are you doing here? This is our casino, punk. I like to think that we're prisoners of war that managed to escape before capture. I don't know how long it'll be before the Legion crosses the river, but sure as fuck I don't want to be wearing an NCR uniform when they get here. Fuck, we lose again. We heard Prim was ripe for the picking, so figured we could come here and shake down some of the suckers. We weren't expecting a sheriff here. We're just trying to put as many miles from NCR as we can. We don't want to be anywhere near New Vegas when the Legion crosses the river. Our luck has gone south since we lost all of our money gambling in Vegas. We didn't go AWOL from duty to become raiders. But we've seen what the Legion does to people that survive their battles. We wanted to be gone before the fighting starts. And we heard there may be some safety up in New Canaan. No fucking way. We're deserters now. The NCR isn't gonna throw us a ticker tape parade for going home. Yeah, if we see the NCR, they'll be waiting for us with a bullet to the brain pan. So what are we supposed to do? Just run? Maybe you're right. Come on, boys. Let's get the hell out of here before the law shows up.
While a relatively short exchange, this confrontation with Layla shows that NCR soldiers are willing to desert due to low morale and feeling that the war against the Legion is hopeless. We also learn the NCR is willing to execute deserters. Once he's back on the New Vegas Strip, Gabe grabs some sleep in the Lucky 38's high roller suite, then meets with Michelangelo again the next morning.
Aha! The brave photographer returns. Good to see you. Oh, that's wonderful. Just what I need. Thank you, brave one. Here's some compensation for your work. You have earned it, my friend. Now I can finally unveil my masterpieces to the world, all thanks to you. Come visit me again sometime.
With a greater reputation on the Strip, the courier returns to Marjorie and the Ultra Lux to join the White Glove Society.
Most definitely. You have become quite an impressive person in my estimation, and you are very well regarded here among those in the know. You have my full support, and you are welcome to join us at our nightly banquets in our special section of the Gourmand. I hope to see you there.
The remainder of the quest line involving Heck Gunderson and the White Glove Society is notoriously frustrating for being glitchy and needing well-timed and executed actions. I can be transparent and say the number of times I had to reload my game was ridiculous, so I'll be skipping around in my video coverage a bit. To summarize, Gabe starts with stealing recipes from the gourmand ship, Philippe, before locking the odious man in the freezer. The courier then uses Philippe's recipes to cook imitation human flesh. Unfortunately, there was one glitch I was unable to avoid, an NCR military police officer trying to arrest me. I could find no workaround for this glitch, so the courier had to end up killing him in order to continue with the quest line. This action is not something the courier would have normally done and is solely the result of the game being glitched. While this act left Gabe and Lester standing with the NCR, it was also unavoidable. Gabe then calls the head waiter to bring the imitation human flesh to the upstairs dining room. In the meantime, I have Gabe find and break free Ted Gunderson.
My daddy's gonna kill all you bastards once he finds out what you done to me. My daddy sent you? God damn it, I almost died in here. What the hell took you so long? It's just one damn hotel. Who did this to me anyway? They hit me over the head before I got a look at them. All right, fine. I'm right behind you.
Following the breakout, the courier leads Ted to the upstairs dining room, where Mortimer is making his victory speech.
I know I'm not the scheduled speaker, but I have a few words, if I may. There was a time not so long ago when we were bound together not as members, but as family, as a clan. And when Mr. House came to us with his proposal, we accepted, knowing we stood to gain much. Little did we know how much we'd lose in the process. As a society, we've endeavored to sample the finest food and drink the world has to offer. But we are living a lie. There is a meat sweeter than the most corn-fed livestock. Most of you have tasted it. All of you have coveted it. Among us, it is a crime to discuss a return to the old ways that unified our people. Tonight, that all changes. The taboo ends. Let me finish, Marjorie. You don't know it yet, but you are all now guilty of a greater crime. One that ordinarily bears the harshest of punishments. Surely that you are all guilty warrants not only universal amnesty, but also a renewed discussion. For our society to be truly elite, we must dine on the most delicious, the most exclusive food known to us. And tonight, for the first time as a society, you are sampling that very dish, the meat we are forbidden to taste, the way it was meant to be eaten. Fellow members of the White Glove Society, bon appetit. What the... Who is this trespasser? What are you... Why is he there? Who are we eating right now? No! These are lies. I never kidnapped anyone. And even if I did, there's no harm done. He's alive, after all. You're all hypocrites. How can you claim to be connoisseurs yet deny yourselves the greatest of all meats? I am ashamed to have once called everyone here family. This isn't over, though. I'll begin anew. The White Glove Society will never achieve the greatness of my new order. You'll all hear from me again.
Greetings. Oh my. How unfortunate. And in front of all these people, too. He always was a bit of a pill, Mortimer. He was so pouty when I decided to ban eating people. And now this. I should have paid more attention to the warning signs. Can you imagine what people would have said? Why, it would have been a complete scandal if it weren't for you. Ta-ta.
With Mortimer exposed, Marjorie appeased, and Ted secure, Gabe returns to Heck Gunderson to smooth things over.
Oh my God. Ted, are you all right?
Quit your hollering. I'm fine.
You got me my boy back. I got no words. Now, I hope you didn't do no harm to whoever's responsible for this. I want to skin their hides myself. Well, that does it. None of them maniacs will ever do business with Heck Gunderson long as they live. Hell, I'll put me together a damn blockade. Hit 'em where it hurts. They control the food. Well, there ain't gonna be no food. Not for anybody in this whole damn town. It's a goddamn monument to inhumanity. Let 'em starve. Biggest favor anyone's ever done this hellhole. I don't like this place. Whole strip, really. Ever since I got here, the stink of it has flooded my nostrils. But you got a point. They're already hell-bent on depravity here. All I'd be doing is helping them along. All right. Well, I promised you I'd make it worth your while. So here you are. Try not to lose it all at the same casino.
Now that the business at the Ultra Lux is concluded, Gabe leaves New Vegas and Freeside behind. He travels with Arcade and Eddie to the New Vegas Medical Clinic just east of the city, where they meet Dr. Usanagi, one of the followers of the Apocalypse.
Welcome to the New Vegas Medical Clinic. I'm a fully qualified physician and can fix whatever is wrong with you for a reasonable fee. If you've got the caps, I've also got several implants available to enhance your physical attributes. Everything you see is funded by the followers of the Apocalypse. We rely a lot on charity to provide low-cost medical services to the less fortunate. Yes, I am. I received my medical training at the Angels Boneyard Medical University back in the NCR. It's not a requirement to be a follower to enter the university, but I believe in what they do, so I joined them. We believe that technology for basic necessities like food, water, and medicine should be shared, not hoarded. We're also strongly in favor of proper education. I've come across more than a few doctors whose techniques came out of the back of a magazine. We've worked with them in the past. The NCR became too focused on things like patents and profitability, so the followers go their own way now. The NCR and the followers have a cool relationship at the moment. We see them as oppressive, and they view us as anarchists. Yes, the Mormon Fort in Freeside. It's hard to miss. All right. I have several basic implants available that can enhance your physical abilities, make you faster, smarter, stronger, that sort of thing. I've also got two much more expensive implants. One's a subdermal implant that will make you more resistant to damage. The other implant induces a mild regenerative effect. Your wounds will practically heal before your eyes. One other thing I forgot to mention. Your body may be able to handle only a limited number of implants. The healthier you are, the more implants I'll be able to give you. Now, what surgery are you considering? If I implant the probability calculator in your frontal lobe, you'll be able to calculate odds a little better. It's not quite the same as making you luckier, but you'll be able to nudge things your way more often. I can do the implant for 4,000 caps. Have a seat in the auto dock. This will take a few hours.
After receiving a few implants, I have Gabe speak with his fellow follower companion, Arcade.
What's up? It could be better. If we can find a way to work toward the independence of New Vegas, that would be ideal. But really, as long as you don't help out the Legion, anything's better than that. I'm really very boring. You'd get better stories out of a Freeside junkie. Oh, all right. I'm 30-ish. Well, late 30s. I was born west of here. I was an only child and spent most of my time with my mother. My father died when I was young and I never got over it. Oh, and I like medicine and reading books about failed pre-war socioeconomic policies. Right now, I'm sure you're asking yourself, why hasn't some lucky man scooped this bachelor off his feet? Like I said, I'm boring. Some people do. I just don't. Look, I appreciate that you're trying to be friendly, but I'd just rather not discuss it. I'm really very boring. No, really. Have you ever snorted a ground-up Cazador venom sac? Neither have I, but I can guarantee you that a Freeside junkie has. Only to obfuscate my past association with a fascist paramilitary organization. I'm joking, of course. I will deflect personal questions at any opportunity. Honestly, it isn't too difficult if you have half a brain and aren't a complete jerk. I wanted to help people and I enjoyed learning, so I signed up. New Vegas is in trouble, so I came out here. If someone doesn't step up and try to help the people here, it's going to end very badly. The followers taught me everything I know about medicine. Despite our humble abode here in New Vegas, we have great facilities back in the NCR. We may have overextended ourselves by setting up camp in Freeside, but the people here need help from someone. If not us, who? All right. I'm really very...
Before wrapping up this video, I have 2 more topics to review. First, I'd like to describe the traits we've learned for characters, new and old, as well as evaluate some of the characters we won't be seeing again. Second, I will state that this will be my last video for Fallout New Vegas for the time being. I admit I did not expect the timetable for the release of Fallout Season 2 on Amazon Prime to be so rapidly approaching, and I know I will not have this entire game analyzed and evaluated by December 2025. That being said, I will pick back up after Season 2 releases fully, although I do want to make some predictions about the state of the Mojave and certain characters from this game, as well as what ending I think will end up being canonical and why. Here we go with reviewing the characters from this episode of Fallout New Vegas. We're going to be probably not doing any of the major evaluations as I have been pretty much scoring them. I might get some general thoughts about some characters, but a lot of them are so minor that it's hardly worth the effort to do it. If I see any problems with characters, I might point those out at the very least, or talk about how much they are good. Just it really depends on how I'm feeling about a certain character. To start with, let's start with our rigged game characters. The Courier, we learn a few more things about him. He does want to be done with pursuing Benny and the chip. That was pretty much not an option given to us. That was pretty much just something he had to say. We do know for a fact that he was in Montana 17 years ago and did hook up with somebody. If we choose the Lady Killer option in one of our traits, that can be a dialogue we pick up with the Lonesome Drifter. So that is pretty much an established thing. Since that trait is something he can do, it is part of his embedded history. We also get an idea about his looks. He now looks like a hard-ass wasteland explorer, which kind of fits given the time he spent in the Mojave. Benny, he's the leader of the chairman. He's not dead or anything. He is ambitious and ruthless per Mr. House. He wants to kill Mr. House. He wants to copy the Yes Man onto the Lucky 38 mainframe. He wants to gain control of all Securitrons. He's generally surprised that the Courier is alive, doesn't want to cause a scene. He's a suave, smooth talker. He's manipulative, willing to meet with the Courier alone, realizes House is aware of his scheme, aware that what the chip can do and where it can be used, suggests, there's a lot of things with Benny. He earned a lot of new traits. Wants the Courier to be a well-paid servant, wants to lead New Vegas as an independent and viable power, seems to respect Mr. House despite betrayal, suggests House, the NCR, and Legion will do anything like him to control Vegas. He ignores the morality and ethics because his decisions affect so many people and fails to properly keep Yes Man secure away from others. I highlighted those two because I do feel that those are definite flaws for Benny that don't make a lot of sense. His reasoning is not very sound, and that might just be him being an ass, or being slightly, um, what is the word? A psychopath in some ways, but we'll see. As far as like why he was unable to fairly keep yes men away, I mean, he basically just tore down a wall and there was nothing besides his bedroom door keeping yes men in, um, and anyone else out. It was a little crazy to me considering he had an entire escape tunnel and whatnot that couldn't be accessed by anybody else besides him. It's just a little silly and quite an oversight. He uses as Yes Man to find the courier near Good Springs. He doesn't view Mr. House as a leader, thinks Chairman could control the strip solo, so he wants to do away with the other families. He doesn't trust the Omertas. He's creeped out by the White Gloves. I do have these in yellow, and I'll explain why later. It's not that there's a problem with Benny in particular, it's because of something else between him and Swank that is a problem. He thinks the NCR is trying to take over the Mojave. He's willing to fight the NCR. He thinks the NCR will claim New Vegas if the Legion is defeated. Just like Caesar's Legion, he thinks that they are an existential threat and predictably betrays the courier. And that's the last we see of Benny. Mr. House. We do know that Robert Edwin House, who Raoul was talking about earlier, is actually Mr. House of today. How he's managed to keep himself alive so long is unknown currently. Um, we do know that he collects snow globes, um, and his robot lady is going to pay us handsomely for doing so and collecting them for him. He's dismissive of the wasteland and its merits. He only sees the flaws of the desert. He thinks humanity has become barbaric in the wastes. He intends to use the courier's talents. He claims the courier is playing a high-stakes game. He wants the courier to recover the platinum chip, doesn't care what the courier does to Benny, willing to pay 4 times more than the original contract, thinks the courier is motivated by money, if that's the case, has detailed info on Benny's movements in the tops, views the 3 families as his employees, suggests approaching Swank for assistance in the tops, has made contracts with the 3 families, wants to keep the element of surprise against Benny, suggests multiple avenues of reaching our checkered friend. He recruited Benny's tribe 7 years ago and planned to make the man his protege, but he miscalculated Benny's ambitions. Wants the courier to become his new agent and protege and kind of takes that as a given, which is a little strange, and I'll get into that later. He believes Benny wants to use the chip for himself. He believes the tribal employees don't understand technology, could not do more to assist Courier in Good Springs, and he explains why. Spent considerable time and resources making and retrieving the chip. Hired the Mojave Express by way of Victor. Began renovating New Vegas in 2274. Negotiated a treaty with the NCR once the faction had entered the Mojave. He insists he is flesh and blood, and he is, which we'll learn. Well, we probably won't learn at all because of things I'll talk about in just a little bit. Knows where Benny is going if he flees the strip. He is witty and sarcastic, takes the courier status as an agent as a given, is both competent and incompetent at protecting his security. I'll talk about that in a second. He killed a lot of people when he disappeared, according to Beatrix, the ghoul that's with the followers. He filled much of Vault 21 with concrete and he forced the residents of Vault 21 to leave their home. I want to talk about that being him both competent and incompetent at protecting his security. So we learn this through multiple avenues. We know that Benny was able to get one of his Securitrons and upload the Yes Man program to it, by basically ensuring that they could make sure the kill switch that would have destroyed the Securitron didn't go off, so they're able to reprogram and use the Securitron as they wished. The fact that House has a kill switch on every single one of his Securitrons is pretty crazy, and definitely suggests that he has a high level of security and forward planning with what he can do. And that is also seen in how he is able to very quickly sniff out the little bug that we place into his casino to get readings on his information and destroyed it at the same time. He also has incredible surveillance all across the Mojave, and potentially even beyond. It's possible that this is just a slip up on his end, and he didn't anticipate that someone would be able to get around his Securitron's kill switch. I guess that's entirely possible, and it's not unreasonable. And that's why I haven't just said that this is an outright critique of the man. I just find it very unusual that someone that we know to be pretty much a genius, a tech guru, and someone who is 7,000 steps ahead of most other people in this game, um, did never found even considered that someone would be able to get around the kill switch on a Securitron and reprogram his um, robots and etc. Um, he does a lot of, and I think this is more so not necessarily a critique, but just a general flaw of his character, and that's fine. And that he is overestimating of a lot of different things. He's overestimated Benny and didn't predict that he would betray him. He, I think, is underestimating the courier and thinking that he is going to um just follow his instructions without any reservations at all. And I think that's quite the assumption on House's part. I don't know that's exactly that could potentially be a critique at some point, but we know that House is a recluse. Maybe he doesn't understand people quite as well as he thinks he does. And I think that's maybe what the people are going for who wrote New Vegas in this script. Um, and that he's kind of psychopathic, sociopathic in a little way, doesn't have much empathy for other people, is willing to do whatever he needs to get his way, and doesn't necessarily take others' wants or desires into his calculations because he's more robotic in that fashion, I guess. Victor personally welcomes the courier to the strip, informs the courier that Mr. House wants to meet, seems thankful toward Mr. House for his creation. Combat algorithms prevented him from helping in Good Springs, and he can upload his program to other Securitrons. I do find that's kind of interesting, and it is verified because we see him, even if he's destroyed, he in the Mojave, his program will upload itself to another Securitron. I'm assuming Mr. House does that remotely. Um, and that is really the last we ever see of Victor. I really could potentially do something with him, actually give him some evaluation, but I would rather save Victor for later because he was a big part of this game. And I feel like I could do him justice better on in the big picture. On to the companions. There's only really two I need to talk about. In this case, Veronica and Arcade. We learn a few more things about Veronica. She likes to punch or shoot things. She's a master at tinkering and repair. She wants to dress, admires pre-war styles, considered Elijah her grandfather. He taught her to question Brotherhood doctrine, doesn't want to be like Elijah, but she does miss him. She wasn't present at the Battle of Helios 1. Her father was a paladin, her mother was a scribe, and they are both dead. She was in love with a woman in the Brotherhood of Steel. She couldn't leave her lover and abandon the Brotherhood. She is self-described as stubborn, like her lover, and doesn't know where her lover is. We'll meet her lover in one of the DLCs, if I'm not mistaken. Thinks the Brotherhood of Steel doesn't know how to handle her and wants to see how other factions function. Arcade. He's a researcher in the followers. He's blonde with glasses, trying to find alternative treatments to illnesses. He's attempting to make new medicine and move away from looting and scavenging, since there's always a finite supply until they are able to make their own medicines. Wants to help people. He speaks some Latin. He dislikes Caesar's Legion. He thinks Caesar is just another tyrannical autocrat. Doesn't think his research will be successful. He likes men. He's willing to help the courier solve Freeside's problems. Doesn't like Eddie, and he's willing to destroy it. Although I don't think he likes robots in general. He wants New Vegas to be independent. He is in his late 30s, born in the West. He's an only child. His father died young, and he was raised by his mother. He likes medicine. I think that goes without saying, I would think. He likes to read books about failed pre-war socioeconomics and jokes about in a fascist paramilitary organization. Jokes because I do understand Arcade's backstory a little bit. And I'm sure some of you watching probably do as well. So I'm just putting the jokes in quotations for the time being before we learn more about his backstory. Moving on along, Prem, we only meet one person, Layla. She refers to herself as an escaped POW. I guess that's one way to look at yourself, as a deserter, I guess. She intended to raid Prem, so she's not necessarily the most lawful person ever. She is actively trying to desert from the NCR army, and causing havoc along the way. She believes the war against the Legion is hopeless, and she lost all of her money in New Vegas. Um, so that's basically it. I don't have any issues with Layla. I'm just gonna go ahead and fill this out real quick. Um, None of her stuff is contradictory. I think she's pretty believable as a character. Um, her methods and motivations of doing things are pretty secure. She's kind of idealistic to an extent, as far as viewing herself as the escaped POW versus I'm just deserting because I don't want to fight sort of thing. But she has her reasons why she doesn't want to fight and it clearly expresses them. And her character, while in and of itself interesting, also reveals more about the NCR as well. Moving on along, let's go to Novak, where we see and meet Bruce Isaac. That's the gentleman that we can recruit to work in the Aces Theater in New Vegas. He's being pursued by a Mr. Bishop, whoever that is. He once entertained at the Shark Club in New Reno. He stole from Mr. Bishop after he wasn't paid by him, and he slept with Mr. Bishop's daughter. That's about all we get out of him. Besides the fact that he's very jumpy and anxious and thinks that someone's out to get him and assumes the courier is a hitman or a bounty hunter, something like that. Um, Moving on along from that, we're going to go to Freeside. Yes, which is next. And everyone on here I need to talk about to some extent. Gennaro, I don't know how to say your name. He's a food vendor. He has children find food for him. He's evasive about what the food is. We know what the food is. Old Ben, I like Old Ben. He's pretty interesting, and he is probably one of the most well-rounded characters in New Vegas itself, not the game, but just the city, that we can see. He lived in Freeside nearly his whole life. He is basically the go-to guy about learning anything there is to know about the area. He gives advice freely. He likes to help around Freeside. He once worked as a courier, which is something that he and our courier have in common. His father was a butcher, tried to warn people the rival butcher was selling human flesh, so we know that cannibalism is a problem, perhaps in New Vegas, hint, hint. And as we've already seen in the video, um, earned enough money to enter the strip. He worked for the Tops as a crier. Was framed by a rival and exiled back to Freeside. He's a ladies' man. He worked as a sex worker. I don't know why I put a hyphen between that at all. Had scruples with being a sex worker, so he quit it, and then worked as a merc for a decade before retiring. Gloria Van Graff. We actually have not met this woman at all. I don't know if I even will. In this game. I might if I'm really feeling interested in it. So Gloria, she and her brother sell energy weapons just to get that out of the way for both of them. She's been described as the stable one out of the pairing of brother and sister, willing to kill for profit, rational, psychopath, and sister of Jean-Baptiste. Speaking of which, Jean-Baptiste Gutting, I don't know why these two have different last names. Maybe Gloria was married at some point. Maybe they just chose different names. I have no idea. We don't get much info about post-apocalyptic marriage customs at this point, so I have no idea. So far, I don't know why they have different names. Jean-Baptiste kills people for Gloria. He is a sick human, according to Beatrix. He likes killing. He's a psychopath, just like his sister, and is brother to Gloria, or of Gloria. Bill Ronte, poor Bill. He installed the water pump 3 years ago in Freeside. He is a skilled mechanist, respects Julie Farkas. He's emotional, he's an alcoholic, and going through extreme withdrawals. Jacob Hoff, his addiction started while working for the Garretts because they're terrible people. Homebrewed, detox chems, natural chemist, thinks Julie is a saint, and thinks Dixon is shady. Yeah, which he is. The King. We haven't met the King yet. We will at some point, probably far in the future. Runs the King's gang in Freeside, and he's the most influential person in Freeside. That's about all we get from him. I mean, we can kind of see people in his gang around and about, but we'll meet the man himself later. Dixon, he is a drug dealer. He sells Bill Ronte drugged alcohol. He finds addiction hilarious, which is just a great character trait for him. And then targets NCR squatters. I would say dead because I definitely had Gabe kill him, but um, considering that's not necessarily what all players would do, and it's not even part of a quest line of any sort as a requirement, I'm not going to put that he's dead on there. He just is in my game in particular because that's usually what I do with him. Mick, he sells guns and used to supply the Omertas. We don't know why they stopped selling, they stopped buying from him, rather. Ralph, he sells general supplies. He's under the control of the king. I know that because he says that the king will only allow Ralph to sell certain supplies if the king gives the say so. He can create fake strip passports, and thinks the Garretts are good folks, which maybe means he's a bad judge of character. Speaking of the Garretts, Francine runs the Atomic Wrangler. She is James's twin, seeking to have debts collected, makes threats. She's prideful, potentially seeks violence, and impressed the courier survived Benny. James is also impressed that the courier survived Benny. He runs the Atomic Wrangler with his sister, Francine's twin. Yeah, I spelled that right. Handles trade and general ops. I don't know why, but Francine just seems like such an oddly spelled name as it does there, especially with the apostrophe. Anyways, um, once people hooked on to their drugs, he's willing to help the followers. Um, wants to recruit new sex workers as well. We don't really give him the opportunity, or I don't anyways, and I don't think it's something the courier would do, which I can talk about in just a second anyways. Grex, he's a ghoul, he's a beggar, he's willing to repay his debts, and he is harmless. That's about all I got with him. I mean, he has quite a unique countenance, I will say that, but that's just telling me his facial structure. It doesn't tell me much else about him. Lady Jane, she was described by, I believe it was Francine, as a dirtbag NCR prospector. She ran the goods for the followers, and she's snooty. She won't even talk with the courier if you mention that if you're just like a commoner or something like that. Claims to not have money, wants to have her caravan reclaimed. She is lying about not having any money and wants to return to California. Santiago, I skipped you. I'm sorry, buddy. How could I forget Santiago? He's suave, he's a pansy, he's well dressed. Um, Suave and pansy are not my terms. Those were used, I think, by Francine. He describes himself as a Freeside VIP, which I don't know I would want to be that person because it seems like anyone who's a VIP has I don't know, a target on their back, which seems to be the case. Claims to owe nothing. He is a poet among pretenders, self-described. Again, he is surprised about the bounty and is naive to think that no one would come expecting anything from him. Caleb McCaffrey. We don't spend too much time with Caleb. He is a bounty hunter for the Garretts. He ends up stealing from them because he gets miffed that the courier ends up doing his job for him. He wears a unique hat that Francine wants. He's experienced and violent, and he's willing to fake his death, so he doesn't have much scruples or too much pride as to have to fight anybody. He's willing to screw over the Garretts just to do so. Hadrian. I like Hadrian. He's a ghoul. He's a comedian at the Atomic Wrangler who is much better than that other hack who was outside the tops. He's world famous, according to himself. He's well dressed, under contract with the Garretts, and wants out of the Atomic Wrangler deal. Moving on to the strip and all the people that are on it. Mr. Holdout, that's the gentleman that we first speak to on the strip who's selling covert weapons. He warns that the casinos don't allow weapons, and that's basically about it. He wears sunglasses, and he's well dressed. Cool. Like a lot of people in New Vegas. Jane, she is a Securitron. She has a female persona, or it has a female persona. I have to try to use my pronouns correctly. It entertains Mr. House, quote unquote, offers to entertain the courier. No. Informative, holds disdain for the free families, thinks the NCR is boring, copy of Mr. House's favorite woman, takes care of all of Mr. House's needs, strokes Mr. House's ego and probably other parts of him. It is a Robco PDQ 88B Mark I Securitron, according to Jane, and pays extremely well for the snow globes. Swank. Runs the Tops Casino. Benny's right-hand man. Thinks the white gloves are creepy. Mistrusts the Omertas. Seems to respect Mr. House, credits House with rehabilitating tribals, thinks the Legion is full of thugs, thinks Mr. House can defeat the Legion, doubtful of NCR's supposed civility, willing to push around the NCR, initially defends Benny, unaware of Benny's plans, and willing to help stop and betray Benny. Swank is an interesting character, and is kind of our window into the uh, chairman. Besides Benny, we don't really see too much about what they do other than Swank himself. Um, so basically, with Swank, I don't have too many issues besides the fact that what he says about the White Gloves and the Emeritus is almost verbatim of what Benny says. And that's where I start to have issues a little bit. I don't think that Swank is just being a kiss ass and saying exactly what Benny says in order to be in a better position, or, just to brown nose Benny a little bit. Maybe he's been around Benny enough and he just repeats what he says. I just don't find that to be the case, considering that Swank is so able and willing to help betray Benny. I feel like if he were really trying to be on Benny's good side, he wouldn't be so easily swayed to go against him. Um, so that's where my problems are. It's not that he finding these other people and other factions problematic. That's not the issue. It's just the way in which the writers are conveying that dislike as being the exact same, pretty much word for word as what Benny says. Um, Usually when I see stuff like that, it's kind of, to me, it's more reminiscent of lazy writing if there is nothing else showing why the character is this way. I don't see many traits about Swank that would lead me to believe that he would basically just repeat everything Benny says. Otherwise, I think he would be a lot less helpful in general with helping against Benny. So that's my problem mainly with it. I think it could potentially be a character evaluation issue, and I might even score him lower as a result. But again, I'm not scoring these people right now because I don't really care to. I don't mind changing things up now and again. I might do one later on, but in this case, oh no, I'm not gonna. I know I'm not gonna see Swink anymore. Not really, and he's not gonna be part of the story. I would probably go ahead and critique him as that being an issue. Um, and mainly because I don't think he would just repeat everything Benny says. He's not characterized as being that way. Walter Phoebus, that's the gentleman that we meet outside with his wife, who's angry at Heck Gunderson. He dislikes the heat. He's Ethel's husband, wants to settle a score. He's well dressed, hates Heck Gunderson, claims Heck has stolen his lands, wants to make Heck suffer, doesn't want to talk about his ranch. He's a bighorner rancher. He's very proud, not fond of the Legion or the NCR, which makes me either kind of question where he's from. I mean, we know that his ranch is out west from New Vegas, and we learned that from his wife. Um, but I'm not sure if that means he's independent of the NCR or that he's in the NCR and just doesn't like it. I'm not sure. He is misanthropic. If you don't know what that word means, look it up. Warns about the mountains, wants the courier's help in spying on Heck, and can be persuaded to leave New Vegas. Ethel, that's Walter's wife, affirms that what Walter says about Heck is true, doesn't believe in fighting evil with evil, wants the courier to make Walter back down. Their ranch is west of New Vegas, lost some of their land to Heck Gunderson. She is tired of talking about Heck and believes the NCR is corrupt to Brahmin barons, which maybe clues me in a little bit more that they actually are NCR citizens because they have to deal with these corrupt NCR senators. Heck Gunderson, he's a rancher. He's a slithering snake, according to Walter. He's one of the biggest landowners in Nevada, or this side of the Colorado, I think is what he says. Yeah. Bribes NCR senators, uses intimidation and death to get his way. He is searching for his son who's gone missing. He is commanding. He's trying to do business with the White Glove Society. He's willing to pay the courier to find Ted. He is Ted's father. I don't know why I put that there because maybe I'm just trying to be specific about which character is which. Anyways, not calm or impartial, according to Chauncey, and Hurricane Heck is his nickname, according to Chauncey, but no one else. Whatever. Uses mercs to drive away competition. We kind of know that already from some of the other characters. He is vengeful and relents and does not pursue vendetta against the society. I guess we could allow him to do so. Um, but even according to Chauncey, that there is a real worry that Heck Gunderson and his posse might be willing to do quite a bit of damage to New Vegas. We know that he never does manage to do so due to the Fallout Season 2 trailer, and Fallout and New Vegas is still standing and it's well inhabited, so I'm not really too worried about Heck. Ted, that is Heck's son, went missing from the Ultralux. He is threatening, he is furious, but also compliant. Um, yeah, I don't really have too many problems with Ted. I think he is rationally angry considering his situation. Um, and I actually have some issues with the entire plot line that is already very fractious and problematic anyways regarding the White Gloves, but I can talk about that in a little bit. I think Ted, his character can have some issues, especially because we would think that he would be unwilling to trust this person that's suddenly rescuing him. He seems kind of irrational, like his father can be, and kind of has a bit of a temper. So I feel like the idea that he would be just immediately compliant and willing to go along with whatever the courier says is a little bit of a stretch, especially because I don't think I had to really persuade him to do so. Yeah. Marjorie, she is a self-styled caretaker. She is the founder and leader of the White Glove Society, working out a deal for stakes with Heck, torn with the supply and demand and effects on the casino, does not want the White Gloves to regress, unaware of Ted Gunderson's disappearance, wants to be transparent, and is thankful the society was spared scandal. She's pretty snooty as a character, but I think it's mainly because she believes in high culture and wants to maintain that status of the White Glove Society and also to keep up appearances for her group of people. I like Marjorie's character. She's not necessarily terribly complex, but I think she has some well-deserved flaws that kind of make the story a little interesting, and that she's a leader that is being manipulated by somebody else in her organization, and she's trying to do her best to keep everybody together as best she can. Mortimer, he is the maitre d' of the Ultralux. He believes in the superiority of the White Gloves. He is quoted as saying the most tasteful and sophisticated people are the most deserving. He is snobbish, which is a very snobbish thing to say, and kind of superiority complex sort of way. He has Chauncey killed. That is very much so true. He is behind the disappearances in New Vegas and the Ultralux. He leads the faction of cannibals in the White Glove Society, although it's kind of weird now that I think about it that he's the only one to flee the Ultralux that we see anyways, and the rest just don't. He has special plans for Ted Gunderson, wants to reintroduce cannibalism back into the society. He has the plan to ensure he and no one else is punished, willing to risk his life to return to the old ways. He is a sore loser and can flee to make a new order of crazies. You're welcome to do that, buddy. I don't really care. Mortimer, he is not a terribly complex character. We know he's just manipulative and deceptive and has been planning all this for quite a while. Crusoe, he's the investigator that was investigating the people who went missing beforehand, specifically a bride who went missing and her groom and hired him. He is an investigator. He is dead. The White Gloves killed him. And then he was supposed to meet Chauncey, speaking of whom, he's a member of the White Gloves. He's afraid of Mortimer, was helping Crusoe, helped the cannibals abduct a woman. He reveals Ted is still alive. He's worried about Heck's reaction. He suggests multiple ways to solve the issue, and he is assassinated by one of Mortimer's men. Philippe, that is the head chef of the Gourmand. He is obsessed with fresh ingredients, and he is one of the cannibals in the White Glove Society. Before I move on, I do want to take a moment to talk about the whole quest line involving the White Gloves and having to rescue Ted. There are a lot of issues besides the glitches themselves with the quest line itself. I didn't really talk about it too much in here, but it's probably my least favorite quest line. all around for New Vegas in general, mainly because there are a lot of moving parts that don't work. And by that, I mean, I want us to consider what all the courier has to do in order to make things happen. So we know there's a timetable involved, because Mortimer and his cannibals intend to serve Ted Gunderson to the rest of the society in order to reintroduce cannibalism to the White Glove Society. In order for that to happen, a certain timeline has to be met. Otherwise, heck, Gunderson's not just going to sit around the bar the entire time. That's not realistic. He's going to go out and make sure his son is there. He might force his men into the casino and ensure that something happens. It could spill out into the um, surrounding area, and it's just kind of crazy. But before all that happens, Mortimer and his cannibals had to first abduct Ted, apparently not knowing who he was, and that he was such a high-profile person. So it's just kind of crazy to me that the cannibals would make such a major slip up when they've done such a great job so far of making sure that people are not, you know, getting anything or getting onto them. And really, the most recent thing was the bride and the groom, the bride going missing. And that led to an investigator showing up, and then he had to work about silencing him. Um, I feel like this quest line's a little forced in that way, and that, oh, they're making these slip ups all of a sudden, and they try to kind of go about that and remediate it a little bit and help with Chauncey and being like, oh, we were just starting with getting the people from Freeside, people that wouldn't be missed and whatnot. And I feel like Mortimer is a little too clever to just suddenly not be able to control himself or the rest of his people and be like, hey, by the way, we really should just not do anything around the Ultra Lux just to make sure that we're not found out. So let's just keep doing our thing in Freeside and no one will be the wiser. Um, and that's pretty much exactly what we end up doing, is helping them hide their tracks. If we were to side with Mortimer, we have to abduct some other guy who doesn't even live in New Vegas, and bring him back to where they are going to kill him and serve him to the people. So that in and of itself is a problem too. So just the whole setup of Mortimer being that clumsy, which I don't feel like that's something he would actually do, considering he does such a good job of fooling most of the people in his organization and stages 2 killings within the hotel itself, which is astounding that he's able to do, and nobody does anything about it unless the couriers happens to be getting involved. Um, so that's all happening. And then there's the entire rescue itself. I mean, we're given all these different options to stop Mortimer or help him or whatever. And really helping him is the easier option. Um, but at the same time, I don't think my courier would go about actually helping a known cannibal achieve his goal and helping more cannibals appear in New Vegas. That's just something I don't think he would be willing to do. So I had to choose this option and make sure that Mortimer was defeated. That being said, there's some issues with the entire rescue of Heck to begin with. So in order to fool the rest of the people in the dining room and also trick Mortimer into outing himself as a cannibal, we have to get Philippe's recipes, lock Philippe in the other place, the freezer. That's it. I couldn't think of that word for some reason. And then cook human flesh, then get the waiter to bring it back up to them, get Heck, convince him or not to follow us to the dining room to expose Mortimer, and then that's it, basically. Um, no, I don't think a lot of that's even quite possible. Even if we are now members of the White Glove Society, Philippe wasn't dead, and it's not like he can't bang on the door and no one's not going to hear him. I think that the fact that the waiter had to come into the same room to get the tray and the food and whatnot to bring to the people, while Philippe was just a room away in a freezer in clear view, of all of the kitchen is just kind of unbelievable to me. I think Philippe would be doing a lot more to resist, trying to get out of the freezer, try to contact somebody to get him out of it. Um, I guess it's possible we could have killed Philippe, but at the same time, I don't know how that would affect the standing immediately of the White Gloves. Maybe they become immediately hostile, and there's nothing we can do at that point. Again, it's a glitchy sort of scenario, and there's a lot of moving parts that I don't think are very well done. Um, it's great that we can explore the White Glove Society, explore their culture, explore their differences and the divisions between them. Um, and we have the option of making a very complex choice to either help the society regress to its old ways or help maintain the status quo. Um, so there's definitely a moral standpoint to it, but it's just not very well done. And there's minor things like that, like Philippe being able to bang on the door and be rescued and expose what the courier's actually trying to do. Or Mortimer being so stupid as to make these silly mistakes and be found out anyways. I feel like a lot of these are going against what the characters are meant to be, and then what they actually do doesn't fit up with their characterization. So if I were to score some of these people, I feel like Mortimer does some really stupid things, which I don't think he would necessarily do. And I think he has a very firm hold on his cannibals to make sure that they wouldn't be doing their cannibalism and kidnapping people right in the Ultra Lux. I feel like that is quite an oversight. Um, yeah, there's just a lot of issues with this quest line, and it's why it's not my favorite one in the game. Michelangelo, his real name is Sheldon Weintraub, if we want to speak German, I guess. Um, Originally from Vault 21, doesn't like the outside world, doesn't want to be in this workshop. He's trapped on the strip, or feels that way. Has lost his inspiration. He is on the verge of mental instability. He knows Doc Mitchell, who he calls Molbutt, if I'm not mistaken. He's Sarah's brother. He is suffering from acute agoraphobia and has the courier take snapshots of landmarks to get his inspiration back. Kate, that's Michelangelo's assistant, has been in New Vegas a year, wants to roam the waste, and is idealistic. Sarah Weintraub, Sheldon, Michelangelo's sister, runs the Vault 21 hotel, loves the vault, never left the vault. She probably did at some point, but only to go back in and make it a hotel. Likes to give tours of the vault and dislikes Mr. House because he pretty much destroyed her home. Tommy Turini, he's the boss of the Aces Theater in the Tops. I don't know why I don't have that lowercase. It should be a uppercase T. Whatever. He is one-eyed. He is looking for a new talent. He is a talent manager and show scheduler. He is also the headline act. He runs the Rad Pack Review, and he is proud of his work. Last but not least, we have Billy Knight, who is a comedian, quote unquote, and is working the streets. On to the bear. Yes. Let's talk about Liza O'Malley. She is at the Strip Embassy. She is the secretary. She's short-spoken and all business. That's basically all we got about Liza, besides that she's wearing a nice dress and she's blonde, I think. Dennis Crocker at the Strip Embassy. He is polite and welcoming. Ambassador to New Vegas. Wants the courier to make contact with the boomers. He's willing to grant amnesty, benefits, and perks for service. He's been in politics for 20 years, was a local mayor, managed President Kimball's first campaign for council seat, elected the ambassador to New Vegas 7 years ago, third representative to serve in New Vegas, well informed of NCR history, and he has never spoken to Mr. House. He is tired of the issues on the strip as well. So Dennis, we know he thinks a lot of the NCR. He has enjoyed his time in politics. He's been in it since he was a kid. Well, not a kid probably, but for most of his adult life. I don't know how he would be a kid in politics. I guess it's possible. Anyways, talking about his letter from before, I did say I wanted to mention a little bit later and see if we could glean some things about him or potentially about the NCR as a result. We don't learn too much about what's going on, and we will get more into that later about what the NCR might actually want in the Mojave. And And we do know that there are some protections that NCR citizens get out of New Vegas, um, and the Strip in particular. Um, and it seems like more of a deal for Mr. House than it ever was for the NCR. Um, we do know that the NCR basically just wants Hoover Dam, which we've known from the start, for its hydroelectric capabilities. And we do also know from Dennis that I think 95% of the dam's electricity is allowed to go back to the NCR states. So that's probably what they want the most out of all this, because Hoover Dam is perhaps the most, um, what is the word, reliable source of water and hydroelectric power in the region, which electricity itself is seemingly very difficult to come by most of the time in the post-apocalyptic wasteland. Um, that's probably what the NCR is wanting the most out of all of this, is to maintain their sovereign control over the Hoover Dam, but they also, we know, probably want New Vegas itself. Um, they do have kind of a rough deal with Mr. House to an extent. Um, and he has a lot of sway over them, and they have absolutely none over him, and they're really just doing a lot of services for him without gaining anything in return, besides the electricity, of course. Captain Marie Pappas, she's at the embassy. She keeps law and order among the NCR at the Strip. She is all business and doesn't mind the ambassador. Private Jake Irwin is at the embassy. He is causing trouble on the Strip. He likes Gamora, especially the women who work there. Likes to fight and pull pranks. He thinks Crocker is stiff and stuffy. Wants to prank the ambassador and respects Captain Pappas. I feel like maybe that's cut content at some point, the pranking the ambassador, but who am I to say? Private Ortega, we met her at the sharecropper farms, guards those farms, doesn't like the civilian sharecroppers. She is stern, and afraid of the fiends. She's frustrated by the NCR's orders, like so many of the other soldiers. Lieutenant Romanowski, I don't know how you want to say that. I'd usually just make the W a V. Impressed by the NCR farms, maintains order in the fields. I do think there is more to learn about him in another side quests, but not so far. Trent Bascom, I guess that's how you say his name. Not a member of the NCR military. He is a sharecropper. He is from the hub. He thinks farming in the Mojave isn't working and has been complaining about the water rations and has to meet crop quotas. The Bull. We learn a lot about Caesar in this video in particular. Of course, we'll learn a lot more about him once we get back to the Mojave and his future episode. He forgives the courier for past transgressions. He was once a member of the followers of the apocalypse, wants to rebuild the new world in the image of the old world. Has good intentions that have gone bad, according to Arcade. He has leadership capabilities, extensive knowledge, and ruthless cunning, all according to Arcade. Vulpes Inculta, he gives the courier Caesar's mark. He summons the courier to Fortification Hill on behalf of Caesar. He is aware of Benny, the courier's pursuit, and where Benny is headed. How he knows all this, I have no idea. I don't think it goes into much detail in the game, but we'll talk about Inculta and the Frumentari later. One of the Frumentari, perhaps the best, and has been to the Strip before. Let's go to the followers of the apocalypse. Emily Ortal helped Benny reprogram Yes Man. She asked the courier to bug the Lucky 38. She has been part of the followers for 5 years, originally from Arroyo. I think that's how you say that. Critical of the NCR exploitation, interested in medicine. She is basically the IT tech expert for the followers. Knows who the courier is and his relationship with Benny. Tried to infiltrate the house's network once before, whenever she was helping Benny. And as a bad judge of character, kept silent about her work with Benny, which is probably good for her because she'd probably be dead otherwise. Beatrix Russell, ghoul, stationed at Old Moraine Fort. She is a mercenary. She has cowboy getup. She enjoys alcohol. I think she especially likes the absinthe that she can get from the Garrets. Critical of the followers' rehab efforts. Excited by physical and mental anguish. Witnessed House's takeover of the Strip. Saw the creation of Freeside 6 to 7 years ago. Thinks the Kings are like any other gang and thinks the King is pretty special as a person. Thinks NCR is only in the Mojave for resources, which is pretty true and stacks up to what we know. Knows of House before and after the war, just like Raoul does. Thinks the followers are naive, which they are to an extent, and doesn't trust the Van Graffs, nor should you. Julie Farkas. I think she might be an ancestor of a certain Skyrim character. Pretty sure about that. I might have some evidence I can pull up for it. Seeking steady medical supplies, trying to help people of Freeside, and well informed and realistic about the state of that region. Has tried to be the diplomat between the NCR and the Kings with very little success, and has followers, and she is the followers administrator for the entire Mojave. And with that haircut, she better be. Dr. Usanagi runs a New Vegas medical clinic. She is a fully qualified physician and can install implants into the courier and other people, I'm assuming. She received training at the Angels Boneyard Medical University. The Boneyard, I think, is basically just Los Angeles, from pre-war anyways. Um, that's my understanding of it. The Mojave, I think, is the last one I need. Yes. The Lonesome Drifter. He has a long, boring story, according to himself. He was born in Montana. He lived with his mother. His father abandoned them. He is currently 28 years old. His father was a mysterious stranger. I have no idea who that could possibly be. Um, he's mysterious. What can I say? He's a drifter. I would have never guessed that. Worked in the coal mines, not the gold mines. My goodness. Looking for his father. Plays the guitar. Willing to settle down his guitar was a gift from his father. I don't know how he knows that, but whatever. Let's go back to the very, very beginning and talk about some factions. Um, NCR, we learned some more stuff about them, but not quite as much as other videos. They have corrupt senators that are bought by Brahmin barons. They use sharecropping to supply their forces in the Mojave. They passed the Thaler Act. I think that's how they pronounced it. Thaler Act to pay farmers to move to the Mojave, and they execute deserters. Everything else is pretty on point. We know that they rediscovered it and occupied Hoover Dam. Um, what else do we know about what they want? We know they are using resources from around the Mojave, like in the quarry at Quarry Junction. Um, I'm trying to think of any other things that they would actually want. They haven't really said what they want with Hoover Dam. I mean, we know it's for the hydroelectric power. We do know that. Um, I feel like we can probably expand on that more. We're not done with the NCR by any means, and there's a lot more to learn about them. But I was hoping to see if we could kind of like learn a little bit more about what we know about the NCR regarding what their goals are, military, nationally, stuff like that. Um, and it seems, of course, like Hoover Dam is the big goal. We knew that from the very start of the game. Um, but I was hoping that we would have a little bit more idea about what individual or political forces might want specifically for themselves or for the nation. Um, but we don't really know too much about that. We do know that they're seeking allies. I can say that. And that's something I might actually add now that I'm thinking about it, is that they are seeking allies in the Mojave. Starting with the boomers of all people. I don't have anything to say about Caesar's Legion or a lot of these other people right now. Crimson Caravan's next. They don't work with the followers of the Apocalypse or are unwilling to. Brotherhood of Steel. They have strict doctrines and hierarchies. Um, I do kind of like that aspect of the Brotherhood. We don't really see that as much as in Fallout 3, so it's kind of a bit abrasive when we actually get to New Vegas and see these extremely dogmatic people, as we will learn about later. All we know about the Brotherhood right now is just through Veronica. Um, and we do see more of that and that return to hierarchy and dogma by Fallout 4, and especially, of course, in the Fallout show, which I'm interested to see more of that and how that's expanded in the show specifically. And of course, once we actually visit them in the Mojave in this game. They are covetous of old technologies. Their membership is close to outsiders, which is also something different from the Out East, because they do allow outsiders to join to an extent. After Maxwell takes over, that's different. Some in the Brotherhood of Steel think it's obligatory to procreate. Some are not welcoming of same-sex relationships. So there is like this ideological purism that then seeps into biological purism within the Brotherhood of Steel, which kind of makes sense because their membership is close to outsiders, so they have to think, well, if we're going to have more people fighting for us and being part of our Brotherhood, then the only way is to get a freak on, which would make sense why they wouldn't necessarily condone same-sex relationships, because there would be no procreation, since procreating is basically an obligation and something that they think is something that all members have to be part of. So that would make sense about that. What I'm saying is like, great, it's not good by any means. It's not socially good to hinder people from same-sex relationships. That being said, it makes sense for their particular group based on what we know of them. It just makes rational sense for what their goals are and whatnot. I mean, it's not unreasonable, that's what I'm saying. Followers of the Apocalypse, we're going to learn a lot more about them, thank goodness. They're trying to help humanity. They are not solely interested in research. They are led by Julie Farkas in the Mojave. Provides food and medical supplies in Freeside. Organized reconstruction efforts. Created the water pump in Freeside. They were founded in the boneyards of Aditum, which I think are probably the still same boneyards that are Los Angeles, but I don't know. Their mission is to rebuild the wasteland and re-educate the population. They are anti-war. They're trying to eliminate poverty, free sharing of knowledge and resources, free exchange of ideas, funds the new Vegas medical clinic, relies on charity. Some of them said that they are anarchist to an extent. A lot of these are kind of anarchical. Is that a word? Maybe. I don't know. Those are kind of those ideas of anarchism. I will just say that instead. It kind of reminds me of left libertarianism a little bit too, which great. It makes sense. I think none of their current traits are problematic, and their goals are pretty well spoken, and we understand them. Let's move on to the Kings. They're based in Freeside. They're active for 5 years. They were helpful in the past, but not in the present, accordingly. It doesn't like the NCR. They're run by the King, whoever that is, and controls the water pump in Freeside. The three families, which are the Omertas, the Chairman, and the White Glove Society. They help run the strip. They have little unity, and mistrust divides them. The Omertas, we haven't really met them yet because I haven't even gone into Gomorrah. Jane describes them as brutes. They recently stopped buying from Mick, and they run the Gomorrah Casino. The Chairman, they're led by Benny. They were recruited by Mr. House 7 years ago. They run the Tops Casino. They have a gangster-style dialect. They profit from gambling, food, and entertainment. They have been on the strip the longest, according to, I think it's Swank, maybe? I don't remember. And they are wealthy as well. The White Glove Society, they wear fine clothing. They wear masquerade-style masks. They are well-spoken. They control the food supply of New Vegas. They are former and current cannibals, although that is a division among them, as I've already talked about. They punish cannibalism by death, which is why Mortimer has to keep his plan secret until the very last second. And then they run the Ultralux Casino. The Boomers, we learned just a tiny bit about them, and we will learn much more about them in the future. They are isolated, and they are hostile to all outsiders. And with that, that concludes my analysis so far. Let's move on to one last couple of things, and then we'll be done with our day. Now, onto my predictions for Fallout Season 2, produced by Amazon Prime. This discussion will have spoilers from the first season of Fallout. Let's get the big one out of the way first. I think the Mr. House ending will be canon, and I have a few reasons for thinking so. First, we see Victor the Securitron in the latest preview. While a relatively minor character in the game, Victor only survives the events of this game if the courier sides with Mr. House. I do not believe this cameo is meant to be a flashback, but rather a subtle hint that Mr. House did survive the events of this game and claim victory by its end. Second, I do not think Lucy's father would continue to be in New Vegas if Mr. House weren't alive. As we saw in the first season, Mr. House was part of Vault-Tech's plans to end the world, and the Season 2 trailer makes it clear that the Ghoul holds Mr. House personally responsible for the apocalypse. I think Season 2 will hold many of the same revenge tropes as the game itself, although this time it will be the Ghoul not only trying to locate his family, but also bring about his own brand of justice on the man who ended the world. In the video game, Mr. House will come to tell us that he foresaw the coming doom and prepared accordingly. While we could chalk this statement up to House being a genius and a well-informed captain of industry, the new information we gain from Seasons 1 and 2 show us that the reason why House was prepared for the apocalypse is because he helped it come about. I am definitely hoping the show explores Mr. House's motivations for doing so, instead of making him another power-hungry, mustache-twirling villain. Third, we see that the NCR has been beaten back by a resurgent Brotherhood of Steel in Season 1. It is unlikely the NCR will have much hold, if any sway at all, in New Vegas. Its devastation due to the destruction of Shady Sands and its war with the Brotherhood was likely exacerbated by its failure to maintain control of Hoover Dam following a costly war with the Legion. The NCR likely did not claim victory at the Second Battle of Hoover Dam, but neither did the Legion. I will say, after having analyzed and evaluated this game so far, I do think Mr. House's ending is the most likely. The Courier has more reasons to assist House than any other faction. We see that the NCR is corrupt and its military flailing. If anything, I argue that we are seeing the NCR on its last legs in the events of the game. Caesar's Legion, while powerful and vast, is also not in control of New Vegas, due to a detail I don't mind spoiling. Caesar himself likely does not survive the events of the game due to his brain tumor. I think the Caesar-like figure we see in the trailers is either Legate Lanius or perhaps even Vulpes Inculta, although it could easily be a new character we haven't seen before. I think it is this prediction I am most likely to be wrong about, but working with the evidence I have, it's all I can do for now. While we already know the events of Season 2 take place some years after the events of this game, I do think we will see a resurgent Legion attempt to take the Mojave once more following its last defeat at Hoover Dam. I am unsure if the NCR will even make an appearance. I do think New Vegas and much of the Mojave is under Mr. House's control, and his Securitrons have been fully upgraded. Considering this vast collection of military technology, I think New Vegas is now in the sights of the Brotherhood of Steel, which is why we see so many airships hovering over the desert. The Brotherhood intends to make war on Mr. House himself and claim his technologies for their own. We will see where my predictions fall. If you have ideas or would like to expand or debate my predictions or even points in the game, feel free to leave a comment. Lastly, rather than fade out with my usual video endings, I thought I might leave a teaser for where we'll be picking up the next time we return to the Mojave.